Through the prayers of Holy Father, so Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. Good evening. For those new here, my name is Father Joseph Swaden. I've worked in Orthodox apologetics since 1998 and the founder of NFTU, True Orthodox and Ecumenical News, since 2004. We've been in the apologetic space on Facebook since 2016 and on YouTube since 2018. And if you appreciate what we do here, please like and subscribe. Today we do our, as we all know it, our live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered live, as well as member-requested video reviews. So let's get started. And as always, if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link at the top of the YouTube chat, the StreamYard link in the X chat. And if you want your question or comment without super chatting, I mean, I'll answer it, but you might miss it if I don't put it up. So let's take a look here. Hold on. Let's see. We got a bunch of comments today, and a lot of them are, let's see, Father Antonio, so Christ is risen, truly is risen. Good evening. Let's see. Gabriel Michael 43 says, good evening, Christ is risen. Christos voskreσε εις mervich. And then, of course, obviously the rest of that, smerti, smerpo prav, Jesus okay, and Christ is risen from the dead, trembling and dead by death, and those in tombs bestowing life. Anthony Lemech says, truly he is risen. Leonidas 2000-XM3 X3M says, did you see the news? Bartholomew celebrated with the Coptic Pope of Alexandria. That's insane. I don't believe it. I cannot believe it. That's like saying that the Archbishopric of Canterbury is in Rome blessing people now. Okay? That's how unrealistic that is. All right? So I'll believe it when I see it, sir. We'll look for links. Reader John Taylor Harden says, truly he is risen. Christ is risen. Truly is risen. Raphael says, Christ is risen. Little Wing with a member chat says, truly is risen. See here, Father bless. May God bless you in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Anthony the Mess says, water is wet. Yeah, that's true. So that does seem like it seems the problem is this. Like for True Orthodox for eagle-eyed watchers and readers of NFTU, etc., it seems like, yeah, okay. So they met with the Copts and everything. Like, what else is new? To people who live in, the world Orthodox world, like that is new. That's like shocking and mind-blowing. Like the level of cognitive dissonance is so high that only really about maybe 10% of the educated populace of the world Orthodox actually understand just how prevalent this ecumenism is, this interfaith prayer and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, I completely understand that. I'm going to go through all the basics that we do here. And the first one, of course, is to ask to help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give, Send, Go. Just look in the description. Current goal for this week is $250. Basically, it's to keep the lights on and to keep expenses covered because they keep on increasing and increasing all the time. We have updated the Frozen Us Cafe message. If you're trying to get registered at frozenuscafe.com, just try it. We have now moved onto some expansions on the server, so it is now more bot proof. So people can just register like on any other website on the internet. Once again, let's see here. If you want to jump on the stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link in the top of the chat. So it's very important. This is a live Q&A, live Q&A stream. So we welcome discussions, debates, arguments, people who want to say that I'm an awful person. It's all welcome tonight. And now I'm just going to flash through the subjects we have to start. And that way you can know whether or not you are going to want to pay attention to anything I'm saying. But yeah, I'm not going to show them again until we do them. So let's see what we got. Vigilant Christian 6314 says, Father bless, have you done any presentations on the ROAC? Are they in communion with other old calendar jurisdictions? May God bless you. We did do a presentation on the ROAC when Father Mark Templay was a member. So you want to look that up. Let me see. Maybe I can just help people find titles to the videos that we do. But let me see here, and I will see, because that was it's still accurate for the most part. The main thing is, of course, the whole like Yugoslavia controversy, but that seems to be mostly a US based thing. Hold on. Let me just see here. Yeah. There's one called the Free Russian Orthodox Church. Guest Father Mark Templay. That stuff is still accurate. You can also type ROAC into the search bar on our channel page. So if you do that, you will see. Give me 1 second while I share this, because I like being true Orthodoxy's customer service person. So let's put that up on the screen here. So if you go to our handy dandy page, and you see here, you can just type in what you're looking for, and it's getting better. The search is getting better. It's literally pulling up stuff like this has stuff about ROAC. This does too. ROAC is mentioned, so it's actually doing the search okay. So yeah, that's the way I would do it. But this is the video I was talking about. It's about an hour. Just go to our channel page and search, and so that should be helpful. And let us see here. Somebody says, Teutonic Catholic says, you're an awfully nice person. Well, that doesn't help me. Look, that's not what gets the clicks, man. What gets the clicks is the violence. Okay, speaking of violence, I did watch the new the Moses the Black movie. Just I'm kidding. I'm only half kidding, because to go into it, it's going to be a little bit confusing, but I will try to see. Hello, SAR. This is True Orthodox Support. We have found 10 viruses in your synod. Please grant me remote access, sir. Please do not make jokes about Indian telemarketers. I made the mistake of fighting with Indian telemarketers last week. I now whitelist my calls. It had got to I made them too angry. I went from saying good and pious things like that they're going to hell and stuff, to looking up impolite things to say. And I made them mad. I made them really mad. And so now I get like 300 calls from them. Well, not 300. It's during waking hours. I'm now getting like 10 calls an hour. So I guess around 150 calls. But I have, whitelisted the phone. So it now has, I'm using a combination of my contacts and a do not disturb feature. And that allows me to actually watch as they call, but not have to hear it ringing, and I can just ignore them, and life is great. Okay, Reader John says, with a member chat, pray for Father Boniface and Vladika Enoch and Metropolitan John. Safe travels back from Greece. Indeed. Indeed. For those wondering, Father Boniface cannot make it to the show today because he is in Greece. This weekend is what is known as, it's the Feast of the Myrrh Bearers, obviously, but it's kind of an unofficial unity day for my synod and for our sister synods, where they meet in Avlona, Greece, and it's a big celebration with thousands of people. And they talk about churchy things and meet bishops from all over the world. They all get together there. And remember, we're the little True Orthodox Communion. The bigger one, I don't even know what their day is, but I imagine it's probably, if ours is thousands of people, theirs is, I can only imagine, is insane. It must like lock off half the city or wherever it is. So God willing, they get home safe. They are in Avlona right now, or they would be. Well, I don't know. Maybe, what time is it? Time in Avlona, Greece. Give me a second. The time in Avlona, Greece is 9:23 a.m. Ooh, that's right. It's tomorrow already over there. So that means they're actually probably getting ready to get on the planes now. So yeah, prayers for their safe travel. Yeah. Father Antonio says thousands in a trailer. LOL. Oh, subject number 2 is going to be so much fun to discuss today. Little Wing with a member chat says prayers for their safe travels. God's blessings. I'm into that. Very true. Yeah, it's an insane event. I went to the Avlona trip, I want to say 11 years ago, 12 years ago. Some of you may have seen pictures of me as a deacon in a giant crowd in Greece. That's from that. Yeah, time jumpers, LOL. Yeah, the whole thing is the time is a funny thing when you're dealing with the entire world. It gets all weebly and wobbly and stuff. Let me see here. Memento Mori, I missed this one. Christ is risen, truly is risen. Father, I saw some vid of Ruslan calling out Dyer, but he mentioned how he feels entitled to be invited into Ruslan's show and debates with big names, but has not replied to a true Orthodox debate. Funny you should mention that, Memento Mori, because I am going to be discussing that with, gotta check, topic number 2. So topic number 1 is, of course, reviewing the movie Moses the Black. I did watch it the day before yesterday in full. I have sort of a review. Keep in mind, I am not a professional video reviewer. I must follow basic rules, which means that I cannot show like clips or stuff because that's demonetizing. I can deal with who, what, when, where, why, and how, which is how professionals write things. And I can tell you what my honest review is of it and what I would rate it. I did watch it with Matushka. I'd say that we were roughly on the same page with some slight differences of opinions on some things. But in any case, so let's get right to it. So the first thing I will do, if you are not familiar, is I will play, let's see here. I think it's only fair that one thing we can play legally is the trailer. So I will do that, and then I will get right into it. Okay, so this is the official HD trailer, and we'll put it right on the screen, and then we'll get right into it. So let's see here. Sean Sidonia says another Rokor priest is joining the GOC. Woo, woo, let's go. Let's keep going. And I'm going to get to that. That, by the way, it's not I don't think it's Archbishop Luke, but that's topic number 3, guys. I'm trying to do this organized now that I have stuff organized. So let's get started, and let me get this. Let me get the trailer on the screen as we are going to review this movie. And I am going to try to do the who, what, when, where, why, and how, and the rating. And then after that, I think I'm supposed to say snip or clip so the AI can figure out that this is a thing, a self-contained thing. Why? So that I don't have to clip it. I'll have a robot clip it for me instead. Okay, so let us put this on the screen. Okay.
Well, you're free now. What's stopping you from getting out?
My feet is my feet.
I say Moses the Black.
The saint who was once a gang member.
He was a gangster. Oh yeah, the most feared gangster in the land of Egypt at that time.
He who lives by the sword shall die by the sword.
Good luck with that. Everybody know I ain't no rat. If you're gonna choose a battle, tough guy, choose the right one.
Okay, so with that, that is the kind of that's the trailer for the movie. It doesn't give you nearly enough information to make a judgment, but that's okay. That is what we're doing here. So let's get started. Let me see here. Teutonic Catholic says, "Hold up, man! You telling me we was saints in?" Don't start that. Teutonic Catholic says, "What's Rokor and GOC?" Well, Rokor used to be Orthodox, except now there's just pieces of it that are Orthodox, and the GOC is Orthodox. Sean Sidoni says, "Hard not saying names though. Had to not say names though. Orthodox. I want one to true Orthodox priest to say it so the world Orthodox hear it when they hate watching." Okay, that sounds great. I agree with this thinking. Let's see. And Little Wing answers Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia and Greek Orthodox Church. In this case, I think he means the genuine Orthodox Church, Little Wing. So that's what I will say there. Okay, so let's get started. Basically, the movie stars Omar Epps. He's the main Hollywood star. It was noted that it had like it was partially funded by like 50 Cent, and there were a lot of names in hip hop, notably like Quavo, etc. These actually turned out to be acting credits, for lack of a better word. Outside of Omar Epps, his semi-love interest, and the white cop you see there, virtually everyone else is kind of a musician that's getting their acting chops in. And I mean, the term in the business is typecasting. They're all basically playing, you know, they're all basically playing gangsters who occasionally can rap. So it's not like that's a huge jump for the character, for the characters they're playing. Like it's, you know, this is kind of standard for it. So that's fine. The whole point is that Omar Epps plays a gang leader named Malik, who is basically through his grandma praying for him, etc., gives him a little icon of St. Moses the Black. And so basically from here, the story kind of moves quickly. I will say this. It's not for everybody. The movie is not for everyone. However, it is for a good number of people. And I will say, if you are a critical viewer, like I went in looking for any obvious problems, etc. But that level of attention, even just a critical level of attention, will keep the movie moving very smoothly for you. Like it does not slow down at any point. So as long as you're paying attention, basically the movie is relatively quick. I mean, some of it's a little on the predictable side. Basically, it's not what people thought, which was maybe it's a parallel, like Moses the Black set in an urban setting. That is not what it is. It is not just a gangster movie. It is actually a movie that does have some sort of concept of redemption in it. It's closer. Okay, I don't know how familiar people are with this, but if you're familiar with the 80s remake of The Twilight Zone, there was an early episode, I think it might have been the first or second episode, where they had like a modern kid who was in the 80s or 90s, whenever that remake was, and he keeps looking into a mirror and he's having parallel life experiences with a Puritan girl from 400 years ago. Now, granted, that story is kind of ridiculous and gets stupid, but the whole idea is that the main character, Malik, basically kind of, after he gets this icon, stuff starts happening to him and he starts getting messages, for lack of a better word, from, basically from the same, like warnings, etc., making him realize that he was living a horrible life, etc., and he tries to make amends for it. And that's all I'm really going to say without revealing too much of the movie, because most of it has been revealed on Wikipedia anyway, but it is worth watching. If you are a fan if you're a fan of like urban movies, like this one, in my opinion, much more high quality than your average urban movie. So sure, I give it points for that. Is it a super heavy Orthodox movie, like heavy with the theology? It is not. Father Moses Berry, who is an actual Antiochian, I guess, or Serbian priest, he actually plays a role in the movie. Not a big role. He basically just sits there being the parish priest. And so there's some plausibility issues, but they're very minor. And so overall, it's a fairly worthwhile experience if you are into that kind of movie. If you are okay with hearing occasional rap music, if you're okay with the whole, urban kind of stuff, then yeah, it's a decent movie to watch. If you're not, and that stuff bothers you, which it can, then this movie will probably upset you. However, what can be said is that the movie is not too bad. So I would give it, and I think Matsuko agreed with me, I give it around a 7 out of 10. It's a good movie. It's solid. It has a particular audience, and if you are not that audience, you will not enjoy it, but you will know that within 2 to 3 minutes of the movie starting. Or if you thought that trailer was like, if that trailer made you groan and you're like, then don't. But if you want to, you're looking for it is an interesting movie. And it is interesting how it goes. All right. So let's get to the comments. Let me see here. Thank you, says Little Will. Very good. Ortho just says, Sid, we're going to go on a pilgrimage to see. There is no need for a pilgrimage when it comes to this movie. It is now available on streaming platforms. We actually watched it on Amazon Prime. It's also available on YouTube. The the rental price is, it's up there. It's like can go anywhere from $7 to $15 depending on when you get it. So yeah, that's what I would take from that. So no pilgrimage required, but you do have to pay for it unless you know where there's illegal movie sites and all that stuff. And I am not helping you with that because I do not help people with crime. All right. With that said, let's shut that off and let's get back to the comments. Let's see. Masef says, so would you say the main difference between the true Orthodox and the world Orthodox is the idea that heretics are automatically excommunicated upon believing heresy versus heretics are excommunicated upon? No, I think that their theology on excommunication outside of these new Western YouTube apologists is actually identical. I think it's just arbitrary. So in other words, they will use an instant excommunication on people they don't like. They just don't use it on people like Roman Catholics and Anglicans because they're ecumenist heretics. So I would say the main difference is that on the basis of what they're doing, they are manifest ecumenist heretics, and they say for their part that they are not, and that's the way Orthodoxy has always been, which I think historically is untenable. And there's an entire book, I might say, that is bound to prove this. And for those wondering, today is the day when we do the book giveaway. But I'm not getting there yet. That's topic number 3. So, all right, let's take a look. Lake Code Joe says, can Orthodox priests smoke weed? I guess you'd have to talk to the bishop about that. I mean, like, I don't think so. I don't think you should. On the other hand, sometimes people use medical marijuana, but is that even a real thing? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I do not. That does not mean that I do not know people who do smoke weed and feel they have reasons for it, and I'm not going to judge them for that. So it's at least in Pennsylvania where it's literally street common now, it's street legal. It seems kind of counterproductive. I will say too much weed or too much of anything is a terrible thing. So yeah. So May Seth, I hope that helps. Lakojo, I hope that helps. Ignatius of Pius says, hello, Father. Hello, Ignatius. Christ is risen. God bless you. Let's see. Maximo777 says, World Orthodox believe that all sects are part of the church. No, they believe that all sects are part of the church except true Orthodox. And that's fine, because being that that's not an Orthodox belief, that's okay. Lico Joe, the eyes are red from incense, not weed. Don't let it fool you. Do I have red eyes? I don't think I have red eyes. Maybe it's just the lighting. I mean, I had trouble sleeping. I really don't think it. I mean, they don't look red to me. Maybe I'm missing something. But yeah, no, I don't smoke weed. That would be funny though. Marvelous. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, let's see here. They said, no, the idea that heretics are automatically excommunicated for believing heresy is a papist idea. Yeah, they're not automatically excommunicated. They're just automatically heretics for being heretics. John Taylor Hardin says, Father Boniface says, Benedicite and Christ is risen. Truly is risen. Benedicite. Godspeed for a speedy return home. Father, you mean to say Father Turbo Qual's correct, Father, not Father Moses Berry? Yes. I'm sorry. I can't believe I said Father Moses. Yeah. Lord of mercy. Debt to Compromise says ice cream acquired. Okay. Teutonic Catholic says, have you ever been to Philly Oak Way? I don't even know what that is. Is that in Philly? I've literally been to Philly once, and it was just to go through downtown and eat a cheesesteak. I don't know much about Philly at all. Mesef Leonidas says, okay, well, what's the deciding factor? The deciding factor is fidelity to orthodoxy. It's really that simple. If you are not adhering to the Orthodox faith, you're not Orthodox. And so This is why the true Orthodox are truly Orthodox and the innovators are not. And I highly recommend looking up why the true Orthodox are truly Orthodox. It's an essay on the Hakta website. Very good stuff. Solid. So let me see here. So do you guys hold to the idea that heretics are only heretics upon a public declaration? Absolutely, you have to. Because you can't judge someone's secret thoughts. There has to be their public thoughts. Yeah, someone, Leonidas says someone might secretly hold heretical views, but it doesn't affect the grace of the sacraments if they're clergy. Correct. Paul says, I think that was a Filioque pun. Oh, Teutonic Catholics say Filioque 5 times fast. Yeah. Just for that, that deserved this. Okay. Yeah, I figured it out, Elijah. Thank you. LOL. Okay, and Debt to Compromise, choosing his timing carefully, says donos, and I'm putting that up. Why? Because we need you to help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give, Send, Go. Just look in the description or send a super chat. We appreciate those very much. So please feel free. Tonight's goal is $250. We are currently at 0. We have made nothing so far, and I've been here for 42 minutes. Please help out. Thank you. And so there's different ways you can assist. Cafe time, if you're trying to get registered at afrosinuscafe.com, just try it. And if you want to jump on the stream or ask a question or make a comment or issue a challenge, click the link. Whether it's the YouTube link, whether it's the X link, you click the link, get in here, and we shall have that discussion. So let's get to number 2. This is going to shock you, people. Dire death threats, or just Maddie got dog walked and blaming us? That sounds like a hard thing to unpack. Unfortunately, it's not actually that hard. And what I will say to that is this. Oh, okay. Thank you, Paul W. Hall, for a starter opening $9.99. Thank you so much for helping keep the lights on. Wow. Hold the moment. We will add that on. Thank you so much for your part to help keep the lights on, Paul. We are now up to 10 with a goal down to $240. And that is a super chat. So we will put that in for the $10. And the fun has begun. For those who do not know our show well, it's time to explain how this helps you as well as helps us. We usually keep the show going for exactly 2 hours. And if you want us to continue and go longer, basically we can if we reach 75% of the goal, which in this case is $187. If we reach $187 total, we stay for an additional half hour. If we reach the entire goal, we stay until 11:30. So if you want us to keep going, help us out. All right, let's get started. But have you seen the Nth Son? Fool me once, my friend. Fool me once. And so ecumenism has already been anathematized by a synod. This issue has been working itself out for 100 years. Yes, it has. And this is part of why we now have true Orthodox synods all over the world and millions of true Orthodox people as we slowly and continually keep growing and they slowly and continually become more ecumenist and join closer and closer to the heretics. Basically, it's as I've said before, people ask, how does this resolve? And I've said it before, it's repentance or replacement. Either A, the World Orthodox leadership begin to repent of what they're doing wrong instead of doubling down on it, and that will create peace, and peace will eventually come from that restoration. However, the darker and unfortunately potentially more likely option is that they will double down and continue on attacking us and continue on attacking all true Orthodox over and over. The true Orthodox will continue to get persecuted, will continue to grow and continue growing many, many times what they were before, which they are already experiencing now, which is why most World Orthodox are using numbers from 1980 to describe true Orthodox now. That lack of knowledge just naturally works to our advantage. And unfortunately, true Orthodox are everywhere. And if you don't believe it, click on the description and just go to the map. There's 2 different maps there for 2 different sets of true Orthodox communions. throughout the world. Well, the second map has also other jurisdictions that are not in full communion with each other, but they're all still true Orthodox. And you can see that true Orthodox are literally everywhere. And so let me see here. Teutonic Catholic asks, is that the other Paul? Oh no, this is our Paul. This is Paul W. Hall, who donates, and we love him. Like, we love the other Paul too, but the other Paul hasn't sent any money. So no, if he wants to, though, we'll gladly accept it. Okay. Masef says, my bad, I phrased this badly. I meant to ask, are people automatically excommunicated upon publicly believing heresy? Is that the deciding factor for you versus world orthodoxy? It's not an issue of the question of the status of excommunication. If they're heretics, they lose the grace of the mysteries and should be fled. That is what the canons say to do. I think when we get into legal niceties of whether are they formally excommunicated or not, that's irrelevant to us. Once they're preaching heresy, they've already separated themselves from God. Go find yourself a true bishop. It's really that simple. Leonidas, they're supposed to be given a chance to recant and repent, but yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah, that's correct. All right, so let's get to the question once again. What does this mean? Dire death threats, or just Maddie got dog walked and blaming us? Yeah, well, let's explain. So, about 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned on the last stream, but I wasn't going to get too embarrassing for him about it, but he's kind of escalated, so now I have to. Basically, Jay Dyer was trying to get Ruslan and a couple of other apologists, Trent Horn of the Roman Catholics and Gavin Ortland of the Protestants, along with Ruslan of the Protestants. And so he decided to start calling them out and saying, okay, you're all going to show up on, we're going to do a debate. I say so. That's how this is going to go. So, it's just Jay Dyer being him. But in any case, Ruslan decided to throw something back at him. And this is something that's been a long time in waiting, because you see, last year when we challenged Jay Dyer for 90 days, those who know, if you know the 90-day challenge, what Jay Dyer didn't realize is he was lying about us, saying we were 5 people in the trailer, so on and so forth, was that Ruslan was also watching this. And in fact, when he asked him about True Orthodox in his interview, Jay Dyer simply lied. He just lied about everything. We're like 5 people in the trailer, blah, blah, blah. It's in Florida, blah, 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 blah. And that was obviously not true. And a number of people there, we've had a number of different, and we've spoken to a number of different Protestant apologists, etc. We've had Redeemed Zoomer on. We've talked on, I've talked on Vocab Malone's channel. So I've reached out to a number of people in Protestantism to clarify, like, the historical facts. That's all I did. But unfortunately for Jay Dyer, Ruslan realized that Jay was being not honest. And so he released a video, and that was about 2 weeks ago. And just to quickly share the relevant parts of that, because I will, Ruslan had enough of Jay Dyer being Jay and demanding people, you will respect my authority, and all that stupid stuff that Jay Dyer just does. So here it is. He has a thing that says, I need to address my Orthodox fans on his other channel, Bless God Studios. And so
good. I think it's good to have these conversations, especially when people are making such bold claims as we are the one true church, implying that everyone else is a fake church or a false church. I think that's important to have these conversations. In that, I will say that consistently complaining about this sort of stuff doesn't make those conversations any more fun to facilitate. All right. You could have reasonable pushback. And a few people did on X were like, hey, I'm just honestly curious. So this is my honest response. You can have reasonable pushback, and that's fine. But consistently complaining and consistently crying and consistently demanding to have your guy there, which a lot of you guys wanted Jay Dyer there. Jay Dyer's been on my platform. Not sure if you guys know, Jay Dyer and Trent Horn don't really get along. And so Jay Dyer wasn't in town. He wasn't already going to be at the summit, but I've had Jay Dyer on. May have Jay Dyer on some other time. But consistently naming somebody and consistently crying and whining about this makes me not want to have these conversations, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like there's seldom so little gratitude to just say, hey, thanks for representing us. And often worst case scenario, why did you do this, and demanding stuff. And like respectfully, I think this is why I love being around guys like Josh Nadeau. I love having folks like Father Josiah in these sorts of conversations because there's a class that they have, that there's a humility that they carry. And even though me and Father Josiah can sit and like strongly disagree about stuff privately or publicly, there's still a degree in which they operate that I respect and I feel respected when interacting with them. And I think they exhibit, which is, to me, this is the more important conversation, the fruit of the Spirit, the kindness, the gentleness that I would say a Gavin represents, that a Josh represented, a Trent Horn represented. And so if you guys want more of these conversations on here, I'm just going to gently ask, be careful with the type of comments you leave, because they're kind of annoying. Honestly, like there's a pocket, and it's particularly in some of the orthobro communities that like you guys are just kind of annoying, right? And I should be able to tell you that, and you not get triggered and melt down in the comment section. In the same way that I can say, hey, I get it. Didn't think about it that way. I was genuinely just saying, let's have great representation. But every time something doesn't go your way or your guy's not at something, it's a meltdown. It's annoying. Like, I'm just being honest with you. It's annoying to always see that in the comments. And we could block all you guys for all I care, and I would still be annoyed that there's a sense of, like, I don't know what else to call it, an entitlement of like, you need to have this or else. That's not how this works. Like, this is my YouTube channel. These are my events. And if I see someone as appropriate to be there, or I feel like this is going to be better for the conversation because of other dynamics and other back and forths between different characters online, that's what I'm going to have. On top of which, a lot of what I'm trying to build with the Blood Scout Summit particularly, or just types of conversations I'm having, is I don't want dumpster fire, blood sport type conversations. That's why we have them in person. That's why you notice I don't have these conversations remotely. I think that class, humility, restraint, kindness, gentleness, to me, are important values and virtues. And again, when I had Jay here, he was awesome. And we had a great time hanging out at dinner, and we had a great 2-part conversation. And again, we may have that conversation again. But this is just my outside-in perspective, that when I deal with these different circles and I see these different comments, even the conversation with Marek from the Oriental Orthodox, like even Orthodox. So some of you guys complaining that it says Orthodox Christian presses me on my Protestant theology. He is an Orthodox Christian. He's an Oriental Orthodox Christian. And we talk about the deviations between Chalcedon and all of...
This is worth noting that he's talking about the difference with the Monophysite guy, and he brings up True Orthodox because Dyer lied about it.
All of the things. And I thought it was a great conversation. And part 2 and 3 get super spicy. So I just want to put that out there. And again, we'll still get another onslaught of comments and just crying and melting down. And I'm just telling you, like, it makes me feel like, hey, man, should we just not have anyone from this camp? Because every time we have someone from the camp, there's a segment, not all, a segment of the people that talk about this stuff online that are just annoying to deal with. And I don't know how else to say that. And so that's not an indictment on every Eastern Orthodox person. The vast majority of my interactions with Jay Dyer, with my Eastern Orthodox friends, are positive. But the comments, when you compare them to the Catholics, when you compare them to the Oriental Orthodox, are not the same. I'll just say that. They're not the same. So that's a little bit of the backstory. Okay. I'll do my best, but you guys also got to meet me there. You got to meet me halfway. Okay. We can't keep having these meltdowns in the comments. We can't keep having these conversations where every time something doesn't go your way and you're upset and you're crying about it. And why wasn't this person there? And why wasn't out that you want to be there? So we decided to have Josh Nadeau. Josh was already born, who I understand how that looks, man, for these conversations to happen. So having said that, that's a little bit of the backstory. It was not intentional of like, I'm going to throw up someone that isn't a big, I guess, a big name in the Eastern Orthodox community. I thought Josh did amazing during the conversation. I thought he represented the position very well. He got counsel from his spiritual father. And in my humble opinion, I think he's a great representation for the Eastern Orthodox folks. So that is some of the backstory there. Again, none of that is intentional. None of that is to misrepresent or misalign. It kind of came together, the backstory there. And yeah, we're going to keep having these conversations. It's not going to be exactly how you want them. It may not have the faces that you want there. And so that's that. So in terms of more of these conversations, I like having these conversations. I think it's good. I think it's good to have these conversations, especially when people are making such bold claims as we are the one true church implying that everyone else is a fake church or a false church. I think that's important to have these conversations. In that, I will say that consistently complaining about this sort of stuff doesn't make those conversations any more fun to facilitate. All right. You could have reasonable pushback. And a few people did on X were like, hey, like, I'm just honestly curious. So this is my honest response. You can have reasonable pushback, and that's fine. But consistently complaining and consistently crying and consistently demanding to have your guy there, which a lot of you guys wanted Jay Dyer there. Jay Dyer's been on my platform. Not sure if you guys know, Jay Dyer and Trent Horn don't really get along. And so Jay Dyer wasn't in town. He wasn't already going to be at the summit, but I've had Jay Dyer on.
This is interesting because he did mention the True Orthodox in this broadcast, but it looks like the broadcast might have been, I'm wondering if it's been edited or shortened, but in any case, this was kind of a point that really made a lot of Dyerites mad. And so they were kind of mad that he made this video. It looks like this might be a shorter version of it, but still, what ended up happening was they started complaining big time. And of course, because he did mention the True Orthodox in the earlier version of this, I guess, or I'm missing it on this, and I'm not good at reading transcripts really fast. But the point is, it became a turnaround to be honest, none of us were really expecting. As I believe it's a Debt to Compromise noted, and I'm going to show the video. And I believe that was Unseen Warfare who had found it originally. So I want to give credit where credit's due. But apparently Jay Dyer began claiming that we want to kill him. And I was like, what? First off, if anyone's into the violence, it's always ardent New Calendarists and World Orthodox. They have no problem with saying they want to kill us a lot of the time. But I guess because he lost this chance to be on Ruslan's channel, we're all out to murder him. And so
fully energized. I never get tired of talking about the usage of schismatics and heretics by the government.
I will say it does have Debt to Compromise's usual kind of interspersions of points, for example, because he likes to counter that, Jay Dyer likes to insinuate that we are all government tools while not pointing out that all his leaders are government tools.
Favorite topics to cover. But you can read this. It's a pretty long article.
I just had a thought, and I'm gonna have to leave it a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, he has Father Dr. Deacon Ananias Sorham on the phone or whatever.
I would not be shocked if we found out that all these PSA goblins were being funded by and influenced, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. And it's the same circles that are saying that I need to be unalive. Pajo needs to be unalive. Did you see that?
Yeah. So this is absolute news. Absolute news that people, and apparently our people, want to kill Jay Dyer. Unalive Jay Dyer, excuse me. That's insane. Having dealt with actual death threats from crazed atheists, so on and so forth, this to me sounds like the ultimate whine if I've ever heard one. Because Jay Dyer wanted to whine and see if he could whine his way back onto Ruslan's channel. Unfortunately, something more important happened in the past week. And, basically, unfortunately, Jay's thunder vanished. He wasn't able to build it up with Jesse Lee Peterson. This guy, God Logic Apologetics, ended up debating Muhammad Hijab. And Muhammad Hijab, as you know, is an annoying Pakistani British Muslim dude who annoys people. But he's pretty well and famous and wouldn't debate people until, God Logic got 500,000 followers. Well, he got 500,000 followers. He dog-walked Muhammad Hijab so badly that Hijab not only tried to delete the video, but then copyright struck God Logic. Guy's name is Avery. I don't know what his last name is, but the point is, copyright struck him, which, by the way, in YouTube land is the cardinal sin of all sins. Like, copyright striking a creator can destroy their career. It can destroy their. So doing that, even though he had Avery showed he had explicit permission the whole time. It has caused a major stir, and frankly, Dyer complaining about not being on a show is irrelevant. So unfortunately, that is kind of the situation as that went. So let me just see if we can go back to this. And
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
You've been saying forever these guys actually have demonic problems.
What do I always say about the TOs are, I think they're even maybe nastier than the PS. That's a hard one, actually. But
keep in mind, he's talking about PSA people. I guess this is like a group of people who are into penal substitutionary atonement. Father Dr. Deacon Ananias has gone on record as calling us demoniacs, mentally ill, has gone on record calling me personally mentally ill and a demoniac. Some of his fans have called for us to be institutionalized, which ironically was what the Soviets did to Orthodox Christians. So good fitting the shoe there. So this is kind of his new thing now, because he is not sufficiently relevant this week and his cult was unsuccessful in getting him on a bigger program. He has to start saying that he's death threats. Oh my God, it's another Shoah. Anyway.
What about we always said about the TOs? We've always said it's infiltrated by feds. Now we've got that article. And then number two, a huge percentage of them are mentally ill.
Exactly.
I think you're going to find the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that this stuff's being pushed in some way, whether through algorithm, I don't know, or
we're
Discord
becoming popular,
like
so it must be because mental illness is taking over.
We already know they do that.
Uh-huh.
Like, guess what we found out?
Defunding the so-called far right.
Oh, give me a break, Jay. You supported half of those people. Why? What's with the lies, dude? But I think the biggest and nastiest lie, of course, of all of these things is the idea that true Orthodox Christians who have been victims of so many crimes and so many martyrdoms and so many horrible things and mistreatment by various state actors, that Dyer, because of the fact that his show didn't get popular, is now accusing people of, wanting to kill him. Dude, nobody wants to kill you. We don't even want to listen to you. You're just irritating. You do horrible things to people, and then when it catches up to you because people find you annoying, then you start making false accusations. And we're the demoniacs. Give me a break. Whatever. So that's all I have to say. So clip for number 2. That's all we have to say on that one. Let's see what we got here in the comments as we go section by section. And we go to the comments. And we start with Death to Compromise with Dyer the Diva. Judaize, and it's ma'am youngster. I know you're saying I'm a Judaize, sir. I see we're going to have lots of puns today. Yeah, get it? Yes. Yeah, we got it. Judaizer. Yep. Makes perfect sense. Maximo says, the rudder specifically says there's an exception where you can be under a simoniac. No exception is given for other heresies. Titanic Catholic says, where does it say that and who wrote it? White Knight Apologetic says, blessings, Father. Forgiveness is the only means of reconciliation. I absolutely agree. But there is also one other thing, and that is repentance from heresy. So if their reconciliation is kind of the motif they've been using with ecumenism now for the better part of 70 years. So the idea is we'll just forgive each other while keeping our heresies. That doesn't work. That does not a church make. Sora says Ruslan is a grifter, though. I can't judge the man. I will say he was right on Dyer. So that's all I got to say there. But some people did break communion with Simoniac patriarchs. Yes, they did. And Maximus says, just look at the canons about Simony in the rudder. Yes. White Knight Apologetic says, let us all repent. Okay. Well, I think that repenting is always a good thing, and we should all be doing that. Memento Mori says, oh, the video I saw is called Jay Dyer is crashing out on me, and he mentions the TO part around 750. I selected the wrong one. Let me just see if I can find that. So, because I'd like to put that up so that people don't think I'm just making up, because that's exactly what they'll say next, is they'll say, oh, it's completely made up. That no, he never mentioned the true Orthodox. And that annoys the daylights out of me, because you have to deal with people who are professional liars. And that is unfortunately what you're dealing with when you are dealing with, I hate to say that, but Jay Dyer and his crew. Is a lot of the people there are, I wouldn't say a lot, some of them are good people, but unfortunately the clergy, that's a shame that I even have to say that the clergy people are not. But yeah, that's kind of gross. Let me just see here if I can. Okay, that's latest. Yeah, it's called Jay Dyer's Crashing Out on Me. Okay, so it was, I think this was the original. Yep. This is the full-size one. Give me just a second, and let me see if I can use this. So I can find the stuff, because unfortunately, yeah, the other one, hold on. Because I want to make sure that that is actually clear. So let me see here, because I know that the next thing these people will say, because they're liars, is that it's fake. So by putting it up on the screen, which I will do right now, it's called Jay Dyer's Crashing Out on Me, and it's around $7.50. Thank you for that. Saves me the trouble of having to search for that. So let's
claim. Debate organizer. He's like, man, I'm surprised you want to do this. I'm seeking wise counsel from multiple people. Everyone's telling me don't do
this was funny.
He's like, man, I don't know this. We have other stuff going on. It's not like I could just drop everything I'm doing and jump into, probably dozens of hours of prep to actually engage with him at a level that is comparable. So that like, I'm figuring this out in real time. I'm talking to a debate organizer. He's like, man, I'm surprised you want to do this. I'm seeking wise counsel from multiple people. Everyone's telling me don't do this. This dude is a crash out. Even if you win, it's still going to be clipped up by all the Clippers, and Ruslan gets annihilated, and then they have a trophy. Right now, it's like I'm the trophy in this entire situation. And I don't think I'm that important, but the fact that there's this constant need for Jay to be invited to things that he's not invited to is super annoying. And I also find it annoying that whenever he wants to debate someone, it's always someone with a way bigger platform than him. The true Orthodox folks have been begging to debate this dude. He doesn't want to debate him. I've put multiple people in conversations that want to debate this guy. He doesn't want to debate anybody that doesn't have a bigger platform than him. That to me sounds like clout goblin activities. It sounds very fake and gay, and it sounds like he just
we dub him Clout Goblin from here on in. I think Clout Goblin just seems like the right name for him. He mentions the True Orthodox and other parts, but I just had to clarify that he really did say this, and Jay Dyer really crashed out over it, and now he's claiming that everyone wants to kill him, which is stupid. It's just there's a difference between everyone wants to kill you and nobody wants to watch you. So once you figure that difference out, Jay, outside of your cult, then we'll talk, except we probably won't. All right, let's continue. Thank you for that, Memento Mori. Let's see, not during the Ottoman period. No, yes, that happened in the Ottoman period. Yes, it did. They might have deposed a few patriarchs, but I don't know anyone who has stopped commemorating for an extended period of time. That's from Leonidas. Dyer actually responded to it. He said, we're all feds. Yeah, we just saw that. And, the problem is that he's saying way too many things that are coincidentally exactly the same as the Kremlin's line. So maybe he might not want to point fingers too far, because I don't think you make that much money off of chalk. So in any case, let's see here. The reason he won't debate the TO, he's already stated it. The simple reality is, I hate to say this, but if there was a platform large enough, he would do it, just because he is a clout goblin. He's not a real debater. He doesn't have a real argument, and he knows it. He would be willing to lose, because as a skilled debater, he knows how to BS his way out of looking like a complete failure, and he'd take the views. That's the only reason he would do it. And now we know that it's exposed, it's obvious, and now he's like, oh no, the feds are coming for me. Shut up, dude. Anyway. Do you have a link? That was let me just that Jay Dyer is crashing out on me. Give me one moment. I'll put that in the comments so you can see that. Hold on. Jay Dyer crashing out. So yeah. So the crash out continues, and unfortunately, there was a huge important debate with God Logic versus Muhammad Ijab, where Muhammad Ijab got stomped, and frankly, not enough people cared about Jay at the same time. So this is why he's whining and crying and claiming that people want to hurt him, most of whom he would gladly hurt in a second without even thinking about it because sociopath. Let's see here. It's on Wikipedia. That's why I won't debate the true Orthodox. I know. Okay, Dyer is definitely controlled opposition. Yeah, it's just a question of who. Anthony says everyone Jay doesn't like is a Fed. Yeah, Hack Bounties 114 says obviously non-credible threats. Exactly. Drama queens. Yep. He's Egyptian. Hijab, that is. Okay, he's Egyptian. Okay. I'll grant that. He's still, he's still got the, the Muslim ape stash and all that stuff. Yeah, diarrhea. Hagman, he says everyone has pre-list with them. LOL. Little Wing with a member chat says, wow. Maxima says this is a guy they didn't commemorate. It's anything but what it actually is, says Sean Sidonius. Yep. Diamond Brothers did a good video on Dyer, to be honest. The Diamond Brothers are just as dishonest. To me, it's one snake eating the other. If you aren't Eastern Orthodox and logically consistent, the only real option is to become true Orthodox. It's more mentally ill to take offense at her Dyer position because it's cognitive dissonance. You're not the only Roman Catholic who said that. I know Eric Ibarra has made that point. A lot of people have made that point because if you are Orthodox and you claim to have the one true faith, you can't be an ecumenist. It's just that simple. Just that simple, guys. And if you're just realizing that, and you're like, wait, you're right. I need to go find a true Orthodox church. Just click in the description 2 very big global maps, and they should help you find something nearby, etc. We're everywhere. There's millions and millions of true Orthodox around the world. Let me see here. Could you post the name? Links don't post in the chat. I think oh yeah. Hold on. Let me just, Jay Dyer is crashing out on me. Yeah, hold on. Hold on. That's the title of the video. Let's see. Dyer needs to stick to writing occult Hollywood books. Yeah, I don't even know if I trust him. He's like, I've been saying this for a long time. If you're really into like finding out the occult things in Hollywood and all that symbolism, vigilantcitizen.com. No, I don't get paid for this. It's just that I know that when I started NFTU, Vigilant Citizen was a great place to get all that information from former industry insiders. It's what Jay Dyer does with the Hollywood Decoded sounds like a discount version of what Vigilant Citizen is. So get the real stuff. Go to Vigilant Citizen. Not like, I joined my cult because I know about Hollywood because I read Vigilant Citizen, but I'm not going to tell you. Like, nah, just whatever. Mark II of Constantinople. Anna Kari says, the fact that so many World Orthodox priests back Dyer is quite telling and speaks volume to their own character and spiritual state. Oh, don't get me started. Oh, wow. It's like y'all read my ex or something. There's this one priest, I don't know him well, a father, I don't know him at all, actually, a Father Ron Filipowski, or something like that. He's kind of making the rounds now. I think he's from Canada. And he was like, I was so blessed to serve with you, Father Dr. Deacon Ananias. First off, that the fact that somebody thinks that it's like this huge blessing to deal with this absolute rat fink of an individual, and I can call him that. He called me mentally ill and demonic, so I can say he's a rat fink weasel face, and because he does have that Roger Rabbit weasel look to him, and the simple reality is that this guy is only credible because he has a big YouTube following. And so he's kind of just like, Dyer in a cassock, which is like, I'm going to be our kingmaker. And, it's stupid. It's stupid. All of it's stupid. It's a shame. It's a shame because priests who do have decent opinions, and there's quite a lot of them, are barely known. Like if I could magically clap my hands and give Father Methodius Wastek, 2,000 more followers, I would. Because he does great sermons and he has great points. If I could do that for Bishop Enoch or Father Boniface or any of dozens of people, Father Stephen Allen, there's so many good people in true Orthodoxy who make so many good points, and it's all buried under this absolute trash and fluff. And for that, people like Dyer make things worse. Let me see here. TTC says, remember, many on YouTube, etc., to make money for a living. So it's not always a total grift. Yeah, I make money for a living on this. This is my sole income. So that's why I do it. And that's why I'm constantly begging for money. This is actually, I don't, the only other way I can make money as a backup is I run a like DoorDash occasionally, which I can't really do too well because I'm having issues with my hands. I'm actually going in for surgery. So if you could say a prayer for me over the next couple of weeks, I now have 2 surgeries to go to because of a gastroenteritis issue. And so anyway, I could use your prayers. But that's all I'm going to say about that because I'm not looking for pity, but I am looking for help. So if you want to support us, please do. And don't forget to, subscribe and donate. All right. I just messaged you Jay's response to the TO comment with the timestamp if you want it. Well, I just put it up, but let me see what was this on. Where did you message me? How did you message me? I'm just on chat. No. Is it in? I mean, how? Hold on, Anthony. I'm looking. Oh, okay. Hold on. And somebody just gave. Thank you so much. Via Give, Send, Go. And let me just see here. And that's from F. So thank you so much. Let's put that up on the screen. And then I will go look for Anthony's link. So let's do that. Doobity-doobity-doo. Okay, so now the current goal is down to 230, and I have got 20 here. So thank you for that, and that's from F. And so that helps us gets us a little bit closer to our weekly goal. And again, it helps us keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give, Send, Go, just like F did right here. Thank you so much for helping keep the lights on. Just look in the description, and we really appreciate every donation. Let me see here. The Kill Them response was another video. The one I sent you was his actual clapback about the TO comment Ruslan made. Where did you send it, Anthony? Did you send it to, because I don't see it in my element, and I don't see it. Wait. Was that Facebook? It may have been Facebook. It was Facebook. Give me a moment. Oh, no, wait, you also sent it a different way. Okay, hold on. How will I get it? Okay, I know how I can get it. Hold on. I will get that. We will put that up because watching the fact that Jay Dyer is crashing out about us and doesn't even have the decency to acknowledge we exist is hilarious. Give me a second. And now, all right. So I got it, Anthony. Give me a second. Oh, okay. So he did a video about us, but he won't even deal with us. This is fun. This is getting funnier and funny. I did not know this video existed, by the way. he's literally making videos about us, and he doesn't. Oh, this is art.
That he doesn't want to. Okay, again, true Orthodox. They've been asking for debate. Seems like you keep ducking them. Why is that? There's all sorts of people that are willing to debate, and yet it seems like he only wants to.
Well, I also have other reasons for why I wouldn't necessarily accept a debate with that kind of a group or person.
Okay.
I believe that a lot of those groups are actually used by feds to push a wedge in the Orthodox world, and there's a significant amount of information to back that up, including authorities from within our own church that discuss that, as well as academic and intelligence history authorities, including my recent interview with John Kiriakou, which will come out pretty soon, next few days, I would imagine.
Now, I will mention, and I'm not going to attack, John here, because I don't know John Kiriakou well. We know what we do know is he was former CIA, and for moral reasons, he basically he did something. It was patriotic, from what I remember. It was he didn't want to break the law somewhere, and the CIA, I think it was either the CIA or the FBI, they basically put him in jail. The other half of the story that isn't mentioned is that since then, because John, like every intelligence agent, whether former or not, has his own life to fund. basically took a reporting job with Sputnik News, which is Kremlin affiliated. That's not a secret at all. There were Andrew Bustamante, who himself was former CIA, had a debate with John Kiriakou about this. So the point is that ultimately, from my perspective, John Kiriakou is paid by the Kremlin. He says he's allowed to say whatever he wants, and he can. However, my guess is that because I have no idea how high info John Kiriakou is, I just know that from what I understand, he's part of the Greek Archdiocese. I mean, I could be wrong. I hope he's true Orthodox, but I doubt it. But he does fit that whole working for the government scheme. So I don't know exactly why he's using this as a defense. Because first he claims that we're feds, then he puts one on.
And I talked to the producer today, and he said the expectation is before the end of the month. So within the next week, the John Kiriakou interview comes out, and of course, Kiriakou would be an intelligence authority, a whistleblower, a longtime CIA operative in Greece, himself also Orthodox, who also backs up this point about intelligence usage of schismatics. So
and yet he doesn't mention the fact that Kiriakou is Kremlin funded. That's interesting.
Have all kinds of reasons, and I don't have to even tell Ruslan the reasons why I'm not interested in debating a tiny schismatic group that I think has.
Well, we're not tiny and schismatic, but you can keep lying about us, and we'll just keep on confronting you and mocking you as your own following starts to realize that you are a liar and make up things.
There's quite a bit of connection with, especially in the case of Agathangel and the Roka groups, and their
learn how to pronounce things. It's Agathangel. Like it's not that hard, dude.
Connection to the Ukraine and the schism in Ukraine, and of course, I don't have to tell or explain any of that to Ruslan, and I've explained that on my channel.
No, you just have to, probably explain it to whoever your handler is, whatever. Okay, so with that said, this is kind of pointless. He's just making his own stupid claims. And frankly, it's to be expected. This is typical Kremlin nonsense. Let me see here. He went after God logic. LOL. He's a clout goblin. Let's just face it. Let us give credit where credit is due to Ruslan for correctly identifying Jay Dyer as a clout goblin, maybe even the clout goblin, and we should refer to him as such, the clout goblin. At this point, that I think is what we're going to do. Teutonic says, I think the bar for death threats is pretty low because everyone says, people say kill this guy about everything now, and most are just being edgy and or joking. I will say that the threats that were on me were from an atheist deconstruction channel, and he was trying to publish my address. So yeah. Let's see here. I seriously have to respect Ruslan for saying it like it is. Absolutely. It was great. It was absolutely great to watch that. Hack Bounty says Oriental Orthodox make that claim about Eastern Orthodox, by the way, that Leo's tome, Gotho's letter, etc., prove papal claims. This is a problem. I hate to say this, but this is a problem with internet apologetics. And what I mean by that is that a lot of them are fundamentally inexperienced people. They have not centralized the concept of the truth of faith. I have no doubt that orthodoxy is true because I've seen it. I've seen defending it experientially have the same results. If you already, as a monophysite, think that the Roman Catholics have a point about papal authority, you've done the whole thing wrong. It means you understand nothing. Because if you know the history, you know that the papacy by its nature cannot exist. That should be theoretically visible to not just a Chalcedonian, but to a non-Chalcedonian. But the fact that it's not, the fact that some of them are saying, well, papal authority might be defensible, that means you don't understand what truth is. Because if you understand the centrality of the episcopal office and the power of the bishops, etc., the concept of an office over that is alien. It's not found in the early fathers, etc. Sora to Chitcho says, I don't know, just because Ruslan was right about Jay, I wouldn't side with him. He did pick a catechumen to argue against experienced debaters. And then change the name of the video to cover his tracks. Actually, in that video that I just pointed out, he spends 20 minutes explaining why he was wrong. I'm not going to sit here and defend Ruslan's choice of person to put on. He didn't want to put on Jay Dyer because Jay Dyer is irritating, and probably he asked, and everyone else was like, "No, we don't want to have him on. He sucks." Oh well, too bad. Let's see here. He works for InfoWars. He is grift incarnate. I think that's a little harsh. I think Alex Jones has had some valuable things. I like Harrison Smith. Hack Bounty says, Sword, a shit show. The catechumen was his friend. I'm pretty sure that was the only reason he was chosen. That seems to be the implication. Let's see. Has FDA, it's FDDA, don't forget, has brought his past Lutheranism into Orthodoxy. He's doing a special kind of grift. In the first place, he's pretending he's a priest. That that to me is the first, and I knew that when I was a deacon. He does certain things like when, for example, like asking for a blessing. People ask for a blessing. The proper thing a deacon is supposed to do is say, "I'm not a priest. May God have mercy on us." You can say that. But the second you start blessing people like this, like you're blessing your food or something, but you're blessing people, like that's beyond your rank. A deacon's not supposed to do that. And I think most true Orthodox know that. But I think the problem is that Ananias Sorum also knows that and is faking it because he wants to pretend he has priestly authority that he doesn't. So yeah, that's my view. I like it, Father Deacon Ratfink Ananias. Rat-faced Ananias, whatever. Weasel freaking. Anyway, I'm just throwing out mean things because it's funny. And let's see here. Why did he change the name of the video from debate to discussion when called out? Obviously, no way to confirm, but he should have got someone more qualified, whether he's a friend or not. Listen, I'm not going to attack Ruslan when he did lots of good things in the past week. Like, that's my official position. Like, because Jay Dyer is a bad person and intentionally leading souls to hell. That's my position. New meme on DTCX. Okay, well, we'll take a look at it a little bit. Father, do you think the recent shooting in DC was a false flag? Absolutely. Come on. The White House press correspondence dinner hosted by Grindr. Come on. Don't even. Did you talk about the Roquefort priest leaving for the GOC yet? No. Somebody send me info if you guys want me to do that, because I'm getting mixed signals from guys. People are saying, like, we want to cover it, but not yet. I mean, what do we do? What do we do? I don't know. Tell me. With a member chat, Anthony the Mess, father, Dr. Deacon Ratfink Ananias. That is correct. Let me see. Jeff Dutch, who says, question, some influencer named Chud the Builder got denied baptism by OCA. Are there any true Orthodox who will baptize him? I'm sure that there are. I'm sure that there are World Orthodox who will baptize him. However, how he approaches it is important. Because what happens is this. People that like to cause a lot of trouble. And Jeff, I'm going to be direct and honest with you. Chud the Builder likes to cause trouble. Often make these questions, declarations of religious faith, but they make them in a way that it has to be very public and very loud, giving the impression that the church endorses this behavior, which it does not. I would think if he is willing to get baptized, if you're saying that this person seriously has found the truth of orthodoxy and that he is serious about being baptized, then even I'd baptize him if he's serious. And I have no problem with that. But I will suss it out. And I think any smart priest will suss it out. And so if it's just a show to either show that, we're race cucks or any garbage like that, then it won't progress far. If he's serious about his faith, he will shut up, not make a show, and will show up to church. Because let's face it, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Why lie about it? There are lots of racists already in Orthodoxy. There are lots of anti-racists in Orthodoxy. The church doesn't care about your stupid opinions on race. The church wants you to be saved. So no one cares. But if he wants people to care about it, well, there's your problem. So take that as you will, Jeff. Whatever you want to do with it, let him know. Paul says, Kiriakou blew the whistle on CIA torture program. That's it. And got prison time for it. Yep, I will put that up on the screen because that is true. What he did was honorable. I have no doubt about that. That does not mean that I see him as 100% pure on everything, because nobody is. It's just that simple. Debt to Compromise says, where's this video from? I assume you're talking about the Protestant debate is dead, and here it's a J. Dyer archive. Protestant debate is dead, and here's why. DTC, I will send that over to you right now. Give me just a moment, okay? And boom. Okay, that's done. Just sent that. All right, so let's get back here and let's continue on. Something people don't know about Dyer is that one of his family members were CIA. And I find it interesting how people like Dyer always have some kind of connection to the CIA. Well, I guess I didn't know that. I did not know that. Anthony the Man says, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting for my Fed check to clear. Jay reminds me of the Dutch expression, you are what you say I am. Yeah, they're always former CIA. Yeah, I know. There's no such thing as former intelligence. Gabriel Michael 43. Tiny, schismatic, who split from whom? Fantastic question. Orthodox John says, bro commemorates Kirill and wants to talk about feds. Exactly. We all want to, nobody wants to talk about Agent Mikhailov. Oh, what was that thing? Let me see if I can find it. I know I just saw it yesterday. Sometimes you find useful things in academia, like the academia website. Hold on. Academia. Hold on. I'm going to try to see if I can find this, because somehow I ended up on academia yesterday. All right. I'm going to have to use my history search. I ended up on academia yesterday, and I found a very useful page. Okay. Come on. Where are you? All right, hold on. I'm going to have to check and see if I can find it a different way. Academia, Mikhailov. I think it's called the Mikhailov files or something like that. Okay. All right, I don't know who this is. No, Agent Mikhailov. Hold on. KGB. I pulled up some lady. The Mikhailov files. Hold on. Yes, this is a real thing. Sharing the Mikhailov files, Patriot Kirill and the KGB. This is fun. You can find this on academia, and it includes all the lists. It includes a list of all the times that Agent Mikhailov, that is Patriot Kirill, oh, come on, man, no advertising here, is mentioned in the Mitrokin archive. So you want to see where Mikhailov was, reporting on where he went in the World Council of Churches and stuff to exercise, influence as a KGB guy. So Mikhailov, if you're interested in that sort of thing, you can find that. Let me see here. My guess is he's going to claim that Agafengo's support for the Russian volunteer corps in the Ukrainian army makes us all feds. My guess is he's going to make connections with Washington and claim that Washington has some influence over the Rokor Agafengo. The problem with this argument is that the U.S. government had been supporting Rokor for decades, like back when the U.S. was anti-communist. And so they supported Rokor because Rokor was anti-communist and they believed in good morals and good order, and they wanted that to spread. So that is why the CIA helped them. So the claim that Dyer is making here, which is, of course, that the CIA is now completely, of course, selectively, because apparently John Kiriakou's pure as the driven snow, that apparently the CIA now is just completely evil and condemned and so on and so forth. When, in fact, there are government agencies and sectors of government agencies who do want to see positive things happen and still don't trust communists. Anyway, I've heard from multiple people that also that Dyer's father was U.S. intelligence. Well, so was Tucker Carlson, except Tucker Carlson is charming. I don't know why I keep pushing things like that. But anyway, let's see here. If I were a betting man, I'd be interested in betting on which number of parishes or faithful we're going to have in order for the World Orthodox smugness bubble regarding size to bust. No idea. I have no idea. That's I didn't think that we could get this big and they'd still be like this, but they're ridiculous. Where and when did Agafungel announce his support for the liberal pagan Russian volunteer corps in Ukraine? Paul W. Hall. Yeah, I guess I don't know that one. Ignatius of Pius. The Catholic Church has never held to the position that the Pope has always had authority over the Church. That's the official interpretation of Vatican I. If that's the official interpretation of Vatican I, then that would be that they believe that that is their permanent teaching. It goes as far back as Hildebrand of Savannah. I suggest watching, if you haven't already, Who Invented the Roman Catholic Church, which is on our channel. Once there's a parish within an hour of most towns in America, 2 hours, see what I mean? Yeah, I think that at that point they'd start getting more nervous. But that's what we have to build towards. Use the maps. We need to build more. What about the Dictatus Papae? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. It evolved over time, but the Pope has never went against his brother cardinals. That's not altogether true. Anthony says, enter the Jesuit. Leonidas says, that didn't answer my question. Why? It did. Not my fault. You don't understand. Okay. What was that Dyer clip about us being feds? That is the one I gave the name to. I put the name up for it. Say hi to the Black Pope for us. Actually, it doesn't. Rocor Priest will be received in California next week. Once that's done, I have no issue sharing his name. If anyone wants to share, that's up to them. Give me his name. I'll put it up on the screen. I'm dying of anticipation. And Anthony, there's no such thing. Anthony says, you're no fun. Praetura Complexa says, how did you become friends with Craig Trulia? That was a long time ago. I mean, we're not really friends anymore, but it was over a deleted debate, which was a Fatima roundtable on reason and theology. Basically, the Roman Catholics got demolished on it. And unfortunately, before we were smart enough to record a copy, Michael Lofton hit it. Leonida says, are you even familiar with the document? Because you didn't respond to it when I first brought it up. Yep. Ignatius says, Leo, I've already responded. And yes, I've read it. Okay. Christos Christ says, I know one of his priests got arrested in Russia for supporting the Russian volunteer corps, and I believe that Agafungel himself supports them. I don't know what the situation is with that. I do know that Ukraine's official position, as well as Moscow's official position, is that if you're not a priest of the official church, you can be dragged off to the front lines, which is why some priests have actually fled Russia and or Ukraine to get away from these genocidal meat grinder authorities. Lindorfer says, can you at least say what part of California? Guys, I don't know what to tell you. I don't even have that information. He's commuting to Northern California to be received, but he's stationed in Canada currently. Okay. We got to know. Trucker is controlled op. Look into it. DTC. His father was a spook. I've heard it from friends of his. Thank you, Sean. CA needs more true Orthodox. Yes, it does. Of course, the Jesuit would know that Tucker's controlled op. Yeah, of course. My point was that there's accusation out there of this nature that Dyer will probably echo. Yeah. Somebody says, Anthony, you're KGB. Okay, stop that. CIA Catholics in action. I understand. Who is J. Dyer's bishop? My guess is whoever the diocesan bishop is for the Rocor MP that he's going to. Unfortunately for you guys in California, I think he will continue to serve here, but that's fortunate for us. We need more TO priests in Western Canada. Yes. When people ask me if my family had any connection to intelligence, I just say Erica. World Orthodox are saying they don't need to fast now, and it's only for monks. That was kind of a surprise. I saw that was Young Penitent who said that, and my brain fried when I saw it. I was like, what? Pran Ceasing says, have you ever invited Vladika Demetrius on your show? Unofficially, I can't say that I have, but I will say privately that yes, I have. and he's really, really, really busy. I want to remind everyone that the GOC Clinicos in America under Metropolitan Demetrius is the largest jurisdiction of true Orthodox in the country, parallel, of course, to the Greek Archdiocese among the World Orthodox, has a large, large community. So he's extremely busy. I've mentioned that possibility, but realistically, I always couch it with, I know you're busy, so if the time ever comes up, and being realistic, I don't know when the time's ever going to come up. Let's see here. Ignatius, you guys wrote the book on covert subversion. That's true. The Jesuits have been in like the thick of everything, and the Franciscans. Anthony the Mess says Poland in the 15 to 1700s was cray-cray. Absolutely. The Unia was pure. That was like spy games. I guess the question of why you are not friends anymore is inappropriate. It roughly is. It had to do with that last debate discussion, and it got personal, and I'll leave it at that. And so, Father Joseph, your new camera looks really good, and it was only $29.99. This is one that I hate to say this, but this is kind of one of the things that you have to realize is that there's ways to maximize what you have to create a decent looking lighting production. For example, I now have a lighting ring. Give me a second. And now I'll just lower. See, I have a lighting ring. I don't want to move it. I'm scared to move it. I'm going to break things. Let me see here. So thank you, JG. What young penitent said that? Yes, he said that on X. I can just show it to you. I was dumbfounded. Give me a moment. Wow. Okay, I have a whole bunch of followings on X. I'll share this first because this is nice. So let me share this. This is a picture, if you're wondering, of our Archbishop Irenaeus of Texas, Bishop Enoch, Vladika John, and our Archbishop Gavrilo of Czechia, who was a guest on our show probably around 5-6 years ago. And so, yeah, if you were wondering what they look like, Vladika John is getting older, so he's a little bit bent over, but he's around the same size as Bishop Enoch. And as you can see, Bishop Irenaeus and Bishop Gavrilo they're all big guys. And John Remnant Roker says Vladika John is a gem of man. He's fun to be around. But that's not why we're here. We are here, young penitent. Okay, YP. So shocked when I heard this. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I had to say, this seems pretty false because it does. He said, we were lied to about fasting rules. There's no rule for laymen. The infographic on your church calendar is rules for monastics follow. It does not apply to you unless you want it to. Okay, so let's take that off the screen. Very sad. Hopefully he learned from that, but I don't think he did. Let's see here. My friend got to stay with Craig Trulia, and he saw the notes that he's going to use against James White. I'm not even worried. I think James White is not a strong opponent. He wanted to debate me when I was a catechumen 20 years ago, and now he claims never to have remembered it. Fair enough. That's a long time ago. But I think, if anything, while I and Craig don't get along, I think that he should probably pretty handily take out James White. Let's see here. So let's continue. So much for the Rocore MP being more conservative. Yeah, it's all being thrown down the well. JG says LOL. Or so just says right, crazy. Yanakari says Dyer's priest, his father Vladimir Kadyanov, a rector of St. Nicholas Church in Palm Coast, Florida. I don't feel comfortable putting that out there like that, but Palm Coast is kind of in the middle of nowhere. What was Archbishop Gavrilo's diocese? Czech Republic. Ignatius of Pius, unblock me on Discord, brother. No, no one should have to do that on my chat. You don't have to unblock anyone on Discord. Forget Discord. The brighter lighting makes it really more professional looking. Yeah, well, that I think, and the fact that the camera is a very simple 4K camera. I upgraded from what effectively was a $7 camera at Ollie's to a $20 camera at Ollie's. However, I did pay $29 on Amazon. And so let's see here. RG says, when I first came to True Orthodoxy, I thought the only difference between World Orthodoxy and True Orthodoxy was theological and not a practice. Yep. What I've found is that the ethos of Orthodoxy has been lost in World Orthodoxy. You're absolutely right. That is true. There is such a difference to a greater degree than the mere theology has been lost. The piety has been completely hollowed out. Yeah, I agree. I've noticed in many World Orthodox parishes, it's not, the feeling is almost the same as like being Union parishes. And so, yeah, absolutely. A lot of the things have been gutted, and it's a shame. Leonidas says, yeah, points to yes. And Maximo says, yes, exactly as well. All right. So, having said that, we've now got through the comments, and let's start again. And don't forget this. Okay, remove that. Help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give Send Go. Just look in the description. Current goal, $230. We are $20 in with super chats and Give Send Go, hoping for some wait, hold on. Okay, whoa, we got another one. Give me 1 second. And so we just received a donation of $40, and that's from C. One moment. And so that puts us up to $60 and brings us down to a goal of $190. Remember, if we can get to $187 by 10:30, then we will extend to 11 o'clock. And if we can get to the full goal, we will extend to 11:30. So right now we are now at 190 with 60 up. So we just need 130 to make it that far. Can we do it? I hope so. Oh, wait, this wasn't a super sticker. It was through PayPal. So thank you for that. And I will make the note. And so, again, any way you can help, really appreciate it to help keep the lights on. Let's see here. So again, this is a live Q&A. If you want to jump on the stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link. All right, let's see here. Leonida said, did we discuss Archbishop Luke calling out the MP? Not yet. So, that's part of the reason why it helps a lot if you can help us out so we can get to all the topics we need to cover. I still have 2 more topics left. So let's get right on it and see if we can get to that. I remember most of my time in World Orthodox, similar to my time in Pentecostalism, little spiritual substance. It's a shame, but that's increasingly true. Yanakari says, Dyer has been quite open about who his priest is and where his parish church is located after years of people saying he did not attend liturgy. He spilled beans and posted videos of his church. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, it doesn't matter. I guess he feels comfortable and safe enough that he can do that. I personally don't always feel that way, considering I actually get real threats. But that's beside the point. And he's hosted Father Vladimir Kaidanov and his channel a few times, stating that he's in fact his spiritual father. Okay, well, that's great. I'm glad that he's finally at least barely acting like the semblance of an Orthodox Christian. So that's cool. Let's see here. So let's get to it. What is topic number 3? Jordanville admits MP is ecumenist. Let's see here. Okay, what was this? Somebody said, Prajitor Complexus says, I'm not defending Dyer at all, but don't you think he also receives real threats? Yeah, actually, if I'm being honest, probably anyone with even a generally mid-sized audience. I mean, we have over 3,000 followers here, and I've received threats. Of course, getting into arguments professionally with people will increase those chances substantially. So, yeah, I mean, Dyer has, a couple 100,000 subscribers, and he is literally contentious for a living. So do I doubt that? Absolutely not. Do I doubt they're coming from true Orthodox? Absolutely. I believe that he's lying there, and he's mad at us because he didn't get his clout, the clout that he wanted to goblin about. And so I don't doubt that he gets death threats. I do doubt they're coming from Christians. That's how I'll put it. Is Archbishop Gavrilo with Avlona or the Elam? He is with Avlona. And he did help us with consecrations of bishops, but he's part of our sister church. Okay, and so let's get to the question at hand. I mean, the topic at hand. Jordanville admits the MP is a humanist. Where is this coming from? Well, it shouldn't surprise you to know that one of probably the biggest news site of this past couple of years is, of course, Orthodox Traditionalist Publications, who released a new article. And if we take a look here, let's put that on the screen. You can see that the book, The KGB Among Us, is available for purchase. New book. I have it. I will be reviewing it. And most likely I will be reviewing it next week. So if you want to see that review, it's coming. Just letting you know. Ba-da-da. But in this particular case, we're going to the blog, and the newest article is called Admitting the Heresy, Jordanville's Public Confession Against the Moscow Patriarchate. Now, this I personally was a little bit negatively inclined towards this particular document because while Archbishop Luke does endorse it, it is apparently by a guy named NGD or something, and he's pretty anonymous. I don't know why it was done that way. But in any case, Subdeacon Ictarius points out here on April 15th, Bishop Luke, the abbot of Holy Trinity in Jordanville, made a public statement addressing his own Moscow Patriarchate and its ecumenist activities with ecumenically condemned Monophysite jurisdictions. In this 2-paragraph introduction to an academic research paper, and so we'll share this instead. This is, by the way, from the Jordanville website. We'll get back to the other one soon. This is the 2-paragraph introduction where it talks about the heresy of ecumenism and how it is forbidden for certain things to be done in the church, including celebration with Monophysites. And it says in this 2-paragraph introduction to an academic research paper detailing whether Monophysites are in fact ecumenically condemned outside the Orthodox Church and heretical, he issues a direct and public criticism of actions associated with the Moscow Patriarchate. In this short introduction to his research article, the Monophysites Bishop Luke writes, recently in India, a greeting was sent to Monophysites by an Orthodox patriarch, supporting them by claiming the heretical church is the same church our Savior spoke of when the gates of hell would not prevail against it. These and other similar gatherings only add to the confusion and scandals of the faithful. Any attempt to clarify and defend the dogma of the church is dismissed as romantic theology. What he is referring to here is a recent event ever conducted by the Moscow Patriarchate's Department for External Church Relations, whose plenipotentiary representatives officially act in the name of the Patriarchate and its synod. This event, discussed in my article, The Fourth Ecumenical Council, the Moscow Patriarchate's official rejection and nullification of its dogmatic decree, involves participation alongside the Malankara Monophysites and included statements that were de facto rejection of the Fourth Ecumenical Council and its decree concerning the heretical Monophysites. Then it has a timestamp at 7:37. I guess we can... I'm so tired of this YouTube thing. It is now forcing people. I refuse. I know it wants me to what I have to do is I use Brave, and so it blocks, ad things and all the little cookies and beanies and things, and it wants me to make every site safe that has YouTube on it. I won't do that. So what I will do, however, is I will give everybody the link to Orthodox Traditionalist Publications, and so you guys can see it yourselves. Hold on, and I'm just going to title this Jordanville, and so put that there. And so, yeah, basically at this event, Metropolitan Anthony basically talks about them being like kind of like a, you know, a sister church or ancient church, blah, blah, blah. And so, and these are also the people that the Moscow Patriarchate has given away buildings to, ironically. So strange, very strange. There's a picture of Bishop Luke. Okay, so let us continue on. And let's see here. So if you want to take a look, just say that. Let's see here. I'm going to end this, stop of the sharing, and we're going to go back. Okay, let's see what we've got in the comments going on. So yeah, if you want to read that, okay, what's going on here? Who's fighting who? What is going on? When I was World Orthodox, I learned more as to why ecumenism is bad. I don't know why TOs wet bash World Orthodox for falling into ecumenism, and yet all World Orthodox elders and saints have condemned ecumenism. That's what I've seen from my readings. They haven't, especially the elders. There's a few elders. I forget. There's one elder that's very popular, and all he does is say things like, ecumenism makes my blood boil. Ecumenism makes me angry. Like, what is that nastiness? Just say it's a heresy and be done with it. Like, you know, no one cares about your emotional old man yelling at clouds thing. Just say what's the truth. And Leonidas points out, aren't you Catholic? That's like the most ecumenist. I mean, yeah, it's not like the Archbishopress of Canterbury was blessing people in like a chapel in Rome or anything. I mean, that would be crazy. But let me see here. Anthony says Ignatius isn't Catholic, he's Jesuit. That's not the same thing, LOL. RG88 says those elders condemn ecumenism and remain in communion with it is the problem. Exactly. Bob says, I think Young Penitent was saying the Typicon fasting rules were technically for clergy monastics, not laymen. Is that how it works? Not exactly. The monastic rule is supposed to represent the ideal of a person's life. And what that means is that ideally everybody should be living the way the monastics do, even to some degree married people. Condescension is made for the difficulty of people's lives otherwise. That is why the ideal is still zorophagy, even though most people cannot do that. And you find that there's a few true Orthodox people, especially older people, who will do that the first week of like Great Lent, where they're just like water or just bread and water. Not obviously like unlimited bread and water, like, you know, eating the breadsticks at Olive Garden or something, you know, serious fasting. But anyway, let's see here. Ignatius says, Leo, what's your problem? Salty that I answered your question. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Leonidas says, and now I'm answering your question. Pipe down. Okay. All right. Same as Catholics who condemn the new religion taught at Vatican II, but recognize it as a body of Christ. That's correct. All right. So, Sean says, all right, don't make me count to three, guys. Hey, Leo does not deserve to get. He's all right. He's one of ours. He's one of ours. All right. Let's see here. Ignatius says, wow, such a high IQ argument. Okay. Anthony the Man says, Jordanville's coming back. We're going to get the band back together. No, you're not. Literally, it's Archbishop Luke is literally the only person there holding it up. And once he's gone, that's it. It's all over. It's Joe over for Jordanville. Ignatius says, idiot. Oh, come on. Hey, that's stupid. Lindorfer says, call in and say this. You won't, and it's sad. Leo's in the comments. You look, can you, you're acting a bit aggro in the comments. Send us C7. Yes, I agree. Ignatius, calm down. More like there's a lot of people in Rogue Core getting antsy, so Jordanville is laying cover fire for the MP by flexing. Yeah, I would not be surprised. Sammy, the ultimate world Orthodox cop-out. We need a council to condemn the heresy of ecumenism. There's no need to condemn heresies that have already been condemned. Very true. Speaking of Archbishop of Canterbury, did you see the 13-minute video by Jim Bob, the most hilarious review of Sarah Mullally? It was so on point. I have not seen that yet. I try to avoid watching Sarah Mullally stuff. It's just depressing. It's all weird. I feel sorry for the Anglican who's Haunted by Christ says, I see Young Penitent's Twitter posts on my Facebook feed. I do not like my algo. Okay. Ascendant says, well, Bishop Luke is pretty charitable and true Orthodox in mind. Kate kind of case, though, unfortunately, he's still clinging to global orthodoxy. He has given people releases to join the true Orthodox. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be a surprise thing when he's about to pass. You never know. Could be. God pray for him to the end, Let's see here. Great Babe says, "Oh man, I missed it." Don't know what you missed. Let's go through what we've done so far. We did a movie review of Moses the Black. We talked about Dyer's claims of death threats, or is he just mad with being dog-walked? Jordanville admits MP is a humanist, just basically covered that. And we're finally reaching the fourth topic, and that is the book giveaway winner. That's right. Okay, so as you know, if you have been following over the past couple of days, one of these two books, either A, the collector's edition, which cannot be published again, of the History of Resistance, or B, the new and current History of Resistance, which is the way it's going to look for the foreseeable future, is going to one fortunate individual. Now, we have to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, it is random. Now, theologically, is anything really random? Not technically, no. But the point is that I am a fierce super determinist, which means that God has opened as many possibilities beyond what we can even see. So it is random to us. However, this leads us to our second problem. Our second problem is that randomness on a computer is technically not real randomness. However, we have a solution to that problem. So here's how it works. Because it was our first giveaway ever, there were 10 contestants, and each one of them sent exactly what they said. They sent to the email with title book, and each one of them has received a number between 1 and 10. And so, because you see, I know the old internet, and I'm weird that way, I will now point out, if I may, that I am going to random.org. Random.org is a true random number generator. It is built on atmospheric noise, because that, for all intents and purposes, is random to the human race. Because we can't control the atmosphere totally. Or at least it's not at a level where I'm involved. Okay, so we have a total of 10 participants, and using the atmospheric noise, which is many purposes better than the pseudo-random number algorithms typically used in computer programs, we're about to find out who is the winner. Every single person with the email has received their number. The winner is, and I will send an email. I'll probably since there's only 10 people, I'll probably send an email saying you lost, but thank you for playing. I might not, though, so maybe I'll just send the 1. But here goes. Between 1 and 10, the winner is 4. The winner is number 4. If you got number 4 in your email, you are getting the book. Number 4. That's a coincidence, by the way, that it was number 4, but it helps. Number 4 has won the giveaway. So that's it. There we go. Somebody, number 4, I don't even know who it is. Let me just quickly look, because I'm terrible that way. Let me see here. Number 3. Ooh, okay. I know who it is. And so the question must be, and I will send an email. And the question is, do you want the collector's edition, slightly dog-eared because of rodents, or do you want the brand new History of Resistance, which can be purchased on Amazon from Orthodox Traditionalist Publications? So there it is. Number 4, you are the winner. Many years. Congratulations. Let me see here. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, let's see here. Oh man, I missed it. Lord willing, the hope I have for Catholicism and why I stay as a trad is 80% of new priests are trad. That's a terrible reason. That doesn't mean that they're Orthodox. If they're not Orthodox, you're not in the church. Global Orthodoxy, shibboleth. If most true Orthodox don't recognize World Orthodox, almost all of them, it's pretty much all of them now. Would a canonical release even be necessary for a World Orthodox clergyman to flee to a true Orthodox synod? In general, no. No, they should. I am a big fan of people doing bishops doing investigations regardless, but no, technically it's not necessary at all. Sammy OG says, I have the collector's edition. Love it. Yep, it's beautiful. Jay Webster says, what's the difference between the two editions of History of Resistance other than the covers? Nothing. So if you have the collector's edition, It's just a new edition. But if you haven't gotten it yet, this is the only edition you can get. The older black and white edition, you can't get it. So it's like having the Justice League Snyder cut. Like, you just can't have it anymore. Anthony the Mess says, whoa, you went way back, Father. LOL. Ignatius of Pius says, yeah, those polls were conservative, could be neocons like Pope Benedict. Not bad, but no change. Also, there's no reversing Vatican II without collapsing the claim. Yep, that's true. The church is without error, has decades of the pan-heresy of ecumenism and concessions. There's no real solution for it. Not for the Roman Catholics, no. It will eventually collapse. Latin Boy 305 says, is it true that Chrysostom of Florina praised Stalin in a letter he wrote? Well, it was when he first took power, and he was hoping for something better, but also the Iron Curtain was closed, so the church outside of Russia had no idea of just the sheer scope of murders of Orthodox Christians and martyrdoms that were happening there at the time. RG88 says, Webster, the GOC does not suggest asking for a canonical release, but it's obviously not a requirement. That's correct. Ignatius said, darn, I was wanting the book. Once again, you can still order it through Orthodox Traditionalist Publications. I'm sorry, but as you can see, we did it in a completely random manner. This is absolutely random. It doesn't get more random than this. And number 4 won out of the 10. You had pretty good odds, though. It was, pretty much 1 out of 10, so that's not bad. And God willing, our next giveaway will be something cooler. Who knows? I mean, it can't get much cooler than a hardcover book, in my opinion. That's pretty cool. Let me see here. And Ignatius of Pius, I can send you a copy, says Jay Webster. Oh, that's nice. Yanakari says, is Amazon completely sold out of the now older original edition of A History? It is taken down. There is no way to order the old edition. It's gone. This is it. And this is a beautiful cover, I might add. So I'm not like downing it. It's a beautiful cover, but if you're just aiming to get that short run edition that began, no, it's over. Let's see here. Haunted by Christ says, Man of God or Moses the Black? 2 very different movies, very different kinds of audiences, and very different raison d'etre, reasons to exist. So, Man of God is basically a contemporary hagiography and a historical work, whereas Moses the Black is more of it is technically a work of fiction that has a lot of facts in it with an Orthodox story. It is an Orthodox telling of an urban story. So if you're not a fan of urban storytelling, you're not going to like it. But if you're okay with it or you can deal with it, you might get some positive out of it. I guess the new Gen Z priest gives you hope. I don't have hope in Roman Catholic priests because they're in the Roman Catholic Church. And unfortunately, that makes me think they're sus. Okay. Check give send go. Pray for the chud. I mean, yeah, we should keep the chuds. Or do you mean pray for the chud like as in thou art a chud? Or I don't know what you, because we were talking about Chud the Builder earlier. I don't think you mean that chud. I don't know. Maybe you do. Whatever the case may be, let's take a look because DTC's army never stops. And bada bing, whoa! Donation to the campaign, 131. So right before we get to the final bell at 10:24 p.m., GTC has come in clutch to keep it going. And so now we are at 131 added on by DTC. And so thank you for that. I don't know how he does it. DTC is all over the place, but he is always there, and he is there in clutch. And that puts us at $191. And give me 1 second. And the current goal that is left, 1 second, is 59. Our goal is 59. If we can make that $59 goal, because our current is 191, we will stay till 11:30. But as of now, we have made it to stay till 11 o'clock. So this has already been a success to that end. So we are staying till 11 o'clock. And Winning. I can't do Reader John's voice. I've tried. I can. Winning. Okay. So let's see here. So yeah, we are now at one. The current is now 191 with a goal of 59 remaining. So let's see if we can make it. The Donut Man has saved the day. That chud, but both. Okay, sounds good. Lord have mercy on your servant, and may that guy get illuminated and find orthodoxy. Paul W. says, "Hey, not all of us Zoomers disassociate, just most." Zanity says, "Yes," and Haunted by Christ says, "Win DTC." The Donut Man has saved the day. So we have done it. We are now staying till 11 o'clock, and if we can get let me see here. I could be misinformed. Was there not a revision to History of Resistance? Not according to the author. I asked him. So because we have reached 75%, I will be putting comments on the screen. However, I still would appreciate, if possible, if we can get to the total, and then we will go till 11:30. Otherwise, it is now 10:26, and we have made it. So just to reiterate, once again, say it, help keep the lights on, support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give and Go. Just look in the description. Current goal, as I mentioned, we are now down to a current goal of $59, having made 191. If we get there, we will stay till 11:30. And thank you to everyone who has helped so far. It is highly appreciated. Thank you so much. As always, cafe time. If you're trying to get registered at the cafe, you don't have to do it here. You can just go in and log in and set up an account. We are now finally, at least temporarily, bot free. Let me see here. Father Methodius says, "Greetings, Father Joseph and all. Greetings, Father. Christ is risen." Let me see here. Anthony Lemay says, "Disassociating and Zen packing." And that the compromise says, "We got to get to 11:30. Donos. You got to." And so, and so let's put those up on the screen. Disassociating and Zen packing. Greetings, Father Joseph and all. Paul W. Hull says, the Zinner is in the hands of an angry John. Okay. So here we are, guys. So let's we've got 59 to go. We can stay till 11:30. But otherwise, let's see here. Let's see. So we've covered the major topics. We have done it. We have covered number one. We did a review of Moses the Black. If you want to see that, you can go to the beginning and I will separate these out. Number two, the Dyer death threats are dog walking, and we all know it's dog walking. Number three, Jordanville admits the MP is a humanist, specifically Archbishop Luke. And number four, we announced our book giveaway winner. Congratulations again to number four. And again, we've been hosting comments, so on and so forth. Memento Mori says, Christ is risen. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be the horrible guy. I'm gonna be the horrible guy, okay? Because now I'm Father Horrible Guy. So technically, it's better to just ask a priest for a blessing. Because technically it gets weird. It gets awkward and weird when you say Christ is risen to a priest, because he's technically supposed to say Christ is risen to you. But this happens a lot. The most common thing, and the thing that blows people's minds when I bring it up is probably saying God bless you to a priest, because it's just weird and jarring. The priest's job is to give you a blessing. So if you say God bless you to a priest, it implies you're blessing him, which, I mean, I don't care because I'm a horrible person. But I am letting you know for everyone else. So just so you know. But I usually just, no, it's okay, Memento Mori. That's why I'm Father Rotten Guy. I can say that. I can do that. I can say the things people are thinking. When you see a deacon blessing with his hand like it's like he's blessing food, you tell him no. That's not what a deacon's supposed to do, because priests are supposed to bless. Welcome, Reader John.
Christ is risen.
He is risen. See?
Oh, and belated winning.
Well, sometimes you just have to get out reflex, okay?
No. Winning.
Okay. So Just us today, Reader John, because Father Boniface is just getting on his flight home. So I mean, I think he might have already. He might I don't know when his flight home is, but I know that it's like now like 11 a.m. in Greece.
Yeah.
So on Monday. So this is kind of where they all leave.
Yeah,
So.
he's flying back in time now.
Okay. Yanakari says, Father, let's watch the most hilarious review of Sarah Mullally. It's so funny. Leonidas asks, wait, did we make it to the goal? Almost. We made it to the 75%
You're
goal.
59 short.
We're 59 short of goal to stay till 11:30. So, but we got another good half hour to do it. If anyone wants to come in and clutch and get us over the hump, we will be happy to take it. But again, just a quick reminder, this is a live Q&A session. So if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link. We welcome you to come on. So yeah, how's your Murder Sunday going so far there, Reader?
So far so good. Just very busy.
Glory to God. Oh yeah, no, I know the feeling. But glory to God, things are going okay, and we are here, and we are waiting it out till the end of the stream. Oh wait, what's this? We got a comment. Ascendancy says, Father, what kind of churches and monasteries have you traveled to which were true Orthodox? Any interesting stories? Have you been to Esphigmenou? I've heard you traveled to Russia and Greece. Yes, I have traveled to Russia and Greece. I did not have a lot of time when I was in Greece. When I was in Russia, I lived there a year and a half, but I was just a layperson in Roac, and back then there were a number of more churches that have since been taken by the government. That's one of the most jarring things about being true Orthodox is that I remember big, beautiful true Orthodox services in the heart of Suzdal, Russia. And to learn after I, lived there with those memories, to know that they're gone is weird. It's weird. They're not just gone like the MP took over the church, like the church that I spent, a lot of time in Suzdal, where they prayed and celebrated and had so many wonderful people. And then it's just a tourist site where there's a couple of days a week you can pay like, I don't know, 200 rubles or something to walk around in the empty church and pretend it was like a long gone monument of the Soviet period when I know it was just used 20 years ago. That's the hard part, or the weird part, at least with Russia. But with Greece, I had virtually no time whatsoever to visit anything. It's just too whirlwind fast. Like there's, you go from, at least this was my experience, you went from the airport to where you're meeting all the hierarchs and visiting clergy and so on and so forth from all over the world. You're immediately put on a bus, which immediately takes you, it's like an hour, takes you to your hotel. You drop off your stuff. You're immediately whisked over to the monastery where dinner is prepared. Immediately services, sometimes the service is first, sometimes the meal is first, I guess. I don't remember exactly. By the time everything's over, you get back to your room, you're exhausted. The next day you get up, there's more services.
Mm-hmm.
And things are going nuts there. And then there's trips to go to holy sites. There's usually one or two holy sites to go to every year. And then when I went there, we went to the tomb of St. John the Russian, for example, and got blessed oil.
Wow.
And then you're moving fast. And then once everyone's done with that, boom, it's back down. You're in Vespers, and stuff is going on. It's just constant movement. And then you get to sleep, and the next day you wake up in liturgy, and it's huge, and there's thousands of people. And so yeah, I didn't have much time to explore in Greece, and I kind of wish I did, because there's a few places I'd like to visit. Not the least would be Karatea, at least from the outside, would be a joy. You went to Greece, Reader John. Did you? I don't know where you've been to some interesting places.
Yeah, I've actually seen a church where St. Chrysostomus is.
Oh, you mean where he is like his body?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty awesome.
And I've also been to the church where they have a St. Nicholas Planus.
Oh wow.
And then I've been to the cathedral where they have St. Gregory Palamas.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And been to the cathedral where there's Saint Demetrius the Myrgusher. And under
That's
that,
awesome.
under that one, saw the well and everything. That's pretty cool.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been
Glory to
there.
God.
I've been there a few times, but I haven't seen everything. There's a lot of islands.
Yeah. Glory to God. Let's see here what we got in the kind of comments. So yeah, you did ask Ascendancy, have you been to Esfigmenou? Esfigmenou is currently kind of walled up. Like they've literally closed off even the roads to Esfigmenou. Like when we say that Esfigmenou is under siege, we literally mean it's under siege.
You might get machine gunned down.
Yeah, you could literally get shot by Greek military trying to get to Esfigmenou. That doesn't mean that there aren't people who do try. There are. It's just really tricky, and I did not have that much time in Greece.
Well, it's hard to get on the Holy Mountain anyway.
Yeah, it's already difficult. Yeah, so Yanakari says the Archbishop of Canterbury. RG88 says, any thoughts or conspiracy theory regarding these guys trying to influence Zoomers who are new to Christianity and impressionable to get them to join mainline Protestant homosexual organizations? Seems like a psyop. Just wonder who's running it and why. Yeah, no, I mean, at this point, there's a lot of people, and many of them are on some level of government payroll. But I'm not going to get like all like ridiculous and stupid about like that. I mean, technically George Bush made all of the charity giving kind of like a government expense. So effectively, even if you're running a food pantry, to some extent you're on a government payroll. Let me see here. It seems like a side wonder who's running it and why. So yeah, I don't know who's running it, but there's probably multiple actors, and my guess is many of them work with globalist organizations. Let's see. Yanakari, is that for the Anglican Church? Yes. Yanakari said Jim Bob made a hilarious video of her coronation. Yeah, maybe we'll take a look at it. I mean, if we make it to the full, the $59, we'll probably try to watch it if it's only 13 minutes. RG88 says Father Methodius of Lagita, and if it does seem like I am kind of hesitant when it comes to Jim Bob. I mean, I like some of the stuff he does personally as a meme artist, but I know he's not a fan of ours, like at all. So, let's see here. Anthony Lemez says, RG88, do they wear bow ties? Ascendancy says, well, Father, it sounds like you should have a nice short vacation to Greece. It sounds like you should have a nice short vacation to Greece. And I'm not there. I'm here in America. Bishop Enoch, Bishop Ladika John, and Father Boniface are there, and they're happy to go, and I'm sure they had a wonderful time. Let's remember, it is Monday morning in Greece.
Yeah.
RG88 intend to be Jewish converts. Okay, I don't even know the context there. And then Ascendancy says, I lived in Russia for some time and went to Romania for a month and was received when I traveled. Never been to Greece, Bulgaria, or Serbia yet. Yeah, there's a lot. Father Methodius, to all those asking for a blessing, I assume, says Bog Blagoslovitia. And Ascendancy says, I have been to Istanbul, but only the airport, LOL. Yeah.
That's an experience in and of itself.
Yeah, it's an experience by itself. So, I count the airport as going to Switzerland.
Good coffee though.
Yeah. Let's see here. RG88. That's Lindorfer says, jealous of Metropolitan Demetrius's Western pilgrimage. Wish I could go. Yeah, that's a huge one. I don't know if I think it may be too late now, because I think it's like, is it next month? They're doing this whole pilgrimage to like the Western like chapels of Europe, like some of the big Western saints. It looks very, very interesting. I think that is, from what I understand, it is primarily for GOC members. But yeah, I don't know the details, but I know there's a number of people who wanted to go to that, and it just maybe next year, who knows? I don't know. Maybe if it's a hit,
I think if there's enough interest in that,
they'll probably do it more often. That's usually what happens. Karan Randell says, Father bless, God bless you, in the Father and the Holy Spirit. Do you think it's true that occult activities and demonic activity might be picking up witches and warlocks and stuff, a lot of demonic interference in the physical world? I think it's been like that for a pretty long time. I think that we're just being more honest and direct about it now. When I was young, there were a lot of people that were into witchcraft. They were into Wicca. They were into occultism, astral projection, you name it. The idea that any of it's disappeared is a mistake. The big thing is that it's been heavily more advertised as acceptable, so on and so forth, whereas up until the 20th century, it was mostly smushed out of, the main view. You were going to say something, Reader?
I was just going to add to what you're already saying that just the reason you're seeing it more is because people want experiences. They want instant gratification.
Yep.
And God doesn't work like he doesn't work like a soda vending machine. You don't put in something and get something out.
Yep.
So but the demons are very, very, very open to giving you experiences, but once you open that door, you cannot close that door.
Yeah.
Unless you find repentance within the church. So
it's truly Pandora's box.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps with as an answer, Karan. Let's see. Prajura Complex says bow ties are cool. The 11th Doctor. Okay. We don't usually get Doctor Who references in these parts, but I'll take it. Ascendancy 7 says, I believe they're doing their Western pilgrimage right now until May 10th or so. Oh, wow. First off, that's a pretty long pilgrimage because we still have 5 more days of May. So that's a pretty big pilgrimage. But God willing, it's successful. I expect there will be a lot of great pictures. We'll see. That's going to kind of awesome. Let's see. Anthony the Mez says bow ties, tight khakis, blazer brown shoes that look like they're made of vinyl. Yeah, I've seen them. Broccoli hair. What on earth are we talking about? I missed something. Oh,
you have to jump in. You have to jump in your TARDIS and go back, Father.
2 Doctor Who references. Anyway, let's see. It's sad to see people get suckered into it, Anthony, but I have a very strong feeling the head people at that operation are more cynical. No proof, but it seems strange that this astroturfing operation coincides with the rise of orthodoxy. Okay, it's talking about the contempo church Protestantism trying to take advantage of the sudden increase in religiosity that we find in Gen Z. Well, Gen Z is becoming more religious because, as always, the biggest proof of God, unfortunately, the most common one that is very popular and always works historically, is the proof that the devil is real. And unfortunately, these kids have been forced to see evil that is at a level that none of us expected.
Within these Protestant movements, too, they're seeing what they perceive to be good, which is really a Christian veneer over something that's ultimately evil.
Yeah.
And will take them away from God.
Yeah, basically, unfortunately. That's true. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just getting some tea.
That's fine.
But no proof, but it seems strange that this astroturfing operation coincides with the rise of orthodoxy. Yeah, well, no, it's bound to happen. As more people realize that there is more out there and that God is out there as well as the devil, they want to find God because it's just better to do that than to join the devil. And then let's see here.
Ultimately, orthodoxy wins because people, besides experiences, they crave authenticity. And we're the most authentic church. So,
and, truth matters, and that's makes a difference.
Yeah.
Quran says, what about it going on in our presence? What answer does the church have? That there's all these fake churches, and they probably are cult and traffic children. Do the priests and bishops pray for them? Well, I mean, we pray for everybody, but I don't quite understand. I mean, I doubt, first off, the fact that I don't want to give the impression, say, for example, that heterodox are heterodox, they're heretics, and that's soul destroying. But I don't think I want to go out there and just be like, oh, and they all traffic children. Like, I don't think that that's universally true by any means. Usually the trafficking children thing is usually done through NGOs that are funded by these churches, Catholic Charities, so on and so forth. And a lot of it is not even knowledgeable trafficking. They think they're helping people sometimes, and they're actually being unwittingly in a trafficking operation. So we have to be careful there. Yannick says, where to start with Doctor Who? There are so many seasons, not even to mention the much older original Doctor Who. Yeah, that's crazy stuff. Anthony the Mess says the world Orthodox is up for a rude awakening when Gen Z wise up to their shenanigans, and they already are. And this is part of the info war that we're seeing now is people trying to redirect the rage of the kids. And right now, the powers that be have been very good at directing the rage of the kids solely at the boomer generation, not realizing there are evil people who are controllers and scripters right now who are also making their lives considerably harder. So that's one of the things that's going to have to be threshed out in the grand reckoning of things as we get there. Let's see. Anakari says, I don't have hope for any generation that comes after X. I disagree. I have a lot of hope. I think that right now what we're seeing is such a huge, massive revelation of the method, such a huge revelation of just how evil everything is behind the curtain. And I think the whole idea is that they're doing that to psychologically paralyze us, but it's actually having, in many cases, the opposite effect. It's actually causing people to realize that these people have been that evil for that long, and need to be stopped. And they may think that they've paralyzed people, but that's not the experience I'm seeing on the ground. I'm seeing that the kids are getting kinetically angrier, and all I'm going to say is I wouldn't count them out just yet, because this might look very different in the next 5 years. Is all I'm saying. And they still have a plan for 2030. And right now, it doesn't look like they're successfully passing very much of it at all. Karan Windura says, I'm talking about these Protestant churches that are around every corner, Norman churches and such. They have gold statues. They traffic children. A lot of shady stuff goes on in them. Yeah, I mean, okay. I don't know what you mean by Norman churches, but gold statues. Like, there are churches that are involved in this, but it's not nearly as many as people think. Father Methodius says the Orthodox parish is capable of creating a parallel generation. That's absolutely true. Oh, Mormon. Okay, the Mormons. Yeah, well, the Mormons are deluded, and the beauty of being in the information hour is we're watching a lot of these sects, including Islam, Mormonism, etc. We're watching them collapse under the weight of superior information. It's just that much of an issue.
Well, they're falling under their weight of their own hypocrisy as well. I mean, a lot of, for example, with the Mormons, there's more ex-Mormons than there are Mormons at this point.
Yep.
Because I see the inconsistencies that have been promoted since the con artist that founded the religion has been revealed.
Joseph Smith, yeah. Leonidas asks, what's the significance of 2030? There isn't any. It's arbitrary. Originally, most of those goals they had for 2050 until the globalists realized that most of them would be dead by 2050. And so they are now pushing it to 2030 so that they can establish a claim of ownership and completely ruin the current system as it exists, and hopefully psychologically break future generations into believing it's normal. I don't think it's going to work. I think there's already a massive amount of resistance to it. As Father Methodius has pointed out, just Orthodox communities alone are capable of building a parallel generation, and the church is growing again. So we'll see.
Did you see the articles about the stuff they're bringing back for the death penalty?
Oh yeah, I thought aren't they bringing back the
firing squad? Yeah.
I was like, for pedos?
Electric chair, gas asphyxiation.
This is amazing. Yeah, so let's see here. Ascendancy says, depends on what though I do. They're more sound like the collective of Gen X or baby boomers, especially how they left the state of the world and continue supporting the lame status quo. Well, Gen X is trying. We're the forgotten generation. Yanakari says, well said, Father. You have me hope. Good. Glory to God.
I like to say we're the undercover generation.
Yeah. Well, we're amazingly the unidentified generation. Generation X. Yeah, so all right, let's see here. Norman churches, LOL, Mormons. Sorry, the Normans just has a different meaning for me as an Orthodox in the West. Okay.
Like in 1066 great again.
Exactly. Like, but there are some good Gen X and baby boomers like our bishops. Yeah, well, a lot of our Orthodox predecessors among the boomers are the first to tell you just how awful the rest of their generation is. So yeah, absolutely. Anthony the Man says it looks like a return to the mercantile system. The only problem, one thing that we do need to figure out is how to fix the property values, and that may involve an economic crash. So who knows? We'll see. Leonida says, who's bringing back the death penalty? Multiple states. Not only are they bringing it back, they're bringing back old-fashioned methods.
It's federal.
People are talking about hanging again. I'm like, whoa.
Hanging and firing squad. You know what this is, right?
Yeah.
Whenever the people that really, really hate the Christians take over, then they'll have the tools ready, unfortunately.
But you never know. There could be Christian movements that end up taking a great deal of power and keep that from happening. So we just don't know.
Yep.
We just don't know how it's going to go. You know, we know how Israel wants it to go, but they're at that point. People have pointed out they call it the Judaic kingdom curse, or the kingdom curse of like 80 years. That once you hit 80 years, they seem to just screw up holding on to the Holy Land and ending it. So technically Israel's at year 78. So who knows? Didn't expect them to be in a massive war with the rest of the Middle East, but here we are. And of course, I didn't expect
overplayed their hand a little much.
Well, they did, but unfortunately, they have Trump on their side, who's suddenly become like an Israel bot.
There's a reason Persia outlasted Israel. Just like
that's true. Anthony the Met says pirates, sea tolls, etc. Yanakari says ascendancy true, but kids nowadays have grown up on tech and having never spent their childhoods by and large in open air. Participation trophies, etc. are sus. I don't know. I think more kids are getting into like air and stuff. One thing that was a really big and interesting development over the past couple of years was the number of Zoomers who were interested in flip phones. That tells you a lot. That tells you that they figured out that there's just too much junk on the phone, and they're like, this thing is taking over my life. So the fact that they're becoming minimalist, and I know kids like that who have just flat out said, I'm just going to go with a flip phone because I don't want to deal with all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
They're kind of, even though they're getting massive amounts of stuff shoveled at them, they're coming out better. So God willing.
Well, I saw how their dumb parents handled it.
Yeah. Well, I'm guilty as charged. Anyway.
Doom scrolling. Why are you guys just sitting there for 5 hours doom scrolling?
Yeah, seeing your parents do it must be pretty lame.
And they're like, "Hey, mom and dad, play with me." They're like, "Hold on, I got to do an X post."
Hold on, I'm gonna win at Farmville.
Hold on, level 250,000 on Candy Crush.
Okay. Great Scott 72 says they just call Gen X boomers anyway. Yeah,
that's true.
Anthony the Met said it has to involve a crash. The petrodollar is dead, and the dollar as a global reserve currency is going the way of the dodo if it keeps going the way it is. There's only one problem with this, Anthony, and this is the thing I've brought up before. In the vacuum that's created, something has to replace it. And I think everyone on Earth knows there's no good currency that they want to replace it. People have said, what about the Chinese yuan? The Chinese yuan's trash, and they know it.
It's trash, but it can be propped up at a whim.
Yeah,
kind of like the dollar.
The big problem is that the yuan is already it's already surveillance money, and that's the globalist goal. But I don't think it'll pass. I don't think a lot of people will go for it. Some people will say, "Well, what about the ruble?" The ruble, even Russians don't trust the ruble.
They don't trust the ruble.
I mean, I'm being honest. They didn't trust the ruble 20 years ago, back when the economy was better.
I think they were actually surprised the ruble went up when they got all sanctioned. They're like, what? It's worth something now.
Yeah. Well, it's still a heavily inflated ruble compared to what, like when I lived there 20 years ago, the ruble was at like 35 to $1. It's now at like 100 to $1.
I think we should just all base it on the rupee.
Even the ruble has inflated. Oh boy, more comments are coming.
Put it on the rupee.
Well,
What could go bad?
parallel generation. Aren't you supposed to make a difference now in people's lives? I know don't go to each other's houses and are not as open as it used to be. That's a choice.
Depends where you live too.
Yeah, you can choose to accept that is community as it's going to be, or you can make a change. And it starts with us individually. Father Methodius says, please pray for me this week.
Of course.
Of course, you are in our prayers, Father. Leonida said, didn't Mexico or some Latin American country reset their currency a few years ago or something like that? Oh, Latin American countries they've been doing that a lot.
Country for every like
the El
5
Salvador
years.
difference is that they were basing stuff on Bitcoin. And so that was smart, super smart. And El Salvador is now, of course, the shining jewel of Latin America. Lindorfer says, you okay, Father M? Anthony, the meh says it has to. Okay, I read that one. Hold on. The Strait of Hormuz is a prototype of what's to come. It's why we need the Panama Canal back. Argentinian oil refineries talks about snagging Greenland and so on. Yeah, not wrong. Again, assuming it keeps going this way. Yeah, things are going weird. Oh, yeah. Sentence, he says, I think that's a bit much of a cynical view, to be honest. Plus, a lot of jobs are shifting to using technology. When they grow up, they can get well outside and learn, etc. Not to mention just relearning things like farming and stuff like that. Kids love that stuff. That stuff will become way more necessary as we become more and more atomized as communities. In order to rebuild those bonds is going to require that we all put in the work. So we'll see.
I think everyone underestimates the big boom of automation that's coming, whether we want it or not. I'm already seeing it. So.
Debt to Compromise says, get in donos before end. That is correct. We have only 4 minutes to go. We need to get $59 in the next 4 minutes. If we can do it, we will stay till 11:30. Otherwise, the show must end. Don't forget. Help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net with various options like PayPal, Cash App, BTC, LTC, or XMR, or on Give, Send, Go. Just look in the description. All right. So let's see where we are. And let us quickly take a look. Lindorfer says, we're praying for you. Yep. World Orthodox keeps becoming like Roman Catholic. Recently, I found the Antiochian parish I attended now requires tithing if you're not an official member. That's interesting. 2010, it was the lowest at $1 to 35 rubles. And since 2014, it was like $1 USD to 70. Now it's around 60, which is some improvement. Oh, that is true. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Hold on. Bada bing, Leonidas has come in with $19 with a member chat. Thank you so much, Leonidas. That is making it a very even goal. We have 2 minutes to go. The goal is now at $40. That's it. $40, folks. We are now at 191 plus 19 is 210. We are at 210, folks. And so if we can make it $40 in the next, I'll give it 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 11:03.
Close the doors.
Close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. Thank you so much. And I got to add him on. I forgot to put that in. Leonidas with a super chat L, and we put 19, and so he's there because we include everyone. So save that, and we are there. We are now $40 away from goal. Do we make it to 11:30? Do we make it this? Do we make it? Do we complete the stream? Let's see here. Okay.
The choice is in your hands.
The choice is in your hands, people. It is. It's hard to get all the words in a word limit. Understood. Looking for a representative of the church for their answer. Not looking for it starts with you. I asked, what does the church have for these people and the bishops? What we have is salvation, and I'm not trying to. I wasn't trying to be rude, but that's the purpose of the church. We provide the powers of the soul to be elevated and therefore build Orthodox families and communities.
Well, at the end of the day, have you heard? Christ is risen.
Exactly. Truly is risen. All right. What was that sound? There was a sound.
I heard
it. Whoa. Okay. Hold on. I wonder if it was the same sound. It was the same sound. We got V for $20. This is it, folks. This is the moment. Are we going to make it to 11:30? It's 10:59. We are at 2:30. We are $20 away from goal, folks. $20. If we can do it, we will stay till 11:30. Come on. We can do it. We can do it. Help keep the lights on. Support us by subscribing or donating at NFTU.net. I love when it goes down to the wire like this. Can we do it? Can we do it? I don't know. I don't know. We will find out. But I've given the bonus 3 minutes. So we'll see. I hope that helps, Karan. I'm sorry if that didn't. If it was, I know it sounds starts with you sounds a little cliche, but it really is true. One thing I like pointing out on Gab, and I have pointed this out as a pinned comment on my Gab account, is the fact that people have talked about like the demographic collapse. And I've pointed out that if you have 8 pious families willing to committing to having 11 children, which is a lot, I admit it. But let's say there's only 8 families left on earth and they commit to having 11 children, even marking for, childhood deaths, etc. If everyone's consistent and passes that message on, it takes exactly 11 generations to get to something like 4 billion people. So believe it or not, one person makes a lot of difference. I know that it seems bizarre.
I'm just reminded of when Abraham is bargaining with God. Do you remember that, Father?
Yeah.
What if there's 50 righteous people? What if there's 10 righteous people?
And even 5, but turned out there weren't that many.
What if there's just one? If there's just one,
you got to go. Just get out. He tried to bargain till the end until he's like, it's just you. Just go. Take your wife with, okay. That was wrong. Anyway. But anyway, so yeah, it makes a difference. Crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is 11:01. We are down to the final 120 seconds. Can we get to the $20 to reach the goal to stay till 11:30? Will it happen? If it doesn't happen, this is probably me saying goodbye until later in the week or until next week. I don't know. It's all up. It all comes down to this. We're at 2:30. We're $20 away just to stay longer. But it's now 11:02, and I'm going to start reading the goodbye because it seems like we're going to be saying goodbye. Let's see here. Ascendancy says 11 is crazy. My fiance said she only wants 2, but after a short time. I had her convinced to try it after 4. We got to have 4 after we get married. Yeah, I'm not judging anyone. I'm saying in the extreme case where there were only 8 couples left, that's what you would need to do to repopulate society within 11 generations. So, whoa, it can't. Oh, Murillo Design says thank you, or Murillo. Whichever pronunciation is correct there, says thank you and thank you, Murillo Design, because the goal is now officially passed. And that means we are at 250, and that means we are staying till 11:30. And that means, let me just put that in there. And we can now officially make the sound as the goal is passed. We have made 250, and here comes the sound. If I can find it.
Winning.
And so we did it, folks. Thank you so much. And we are here till 11:30 to answer more questions. Don't forget, this is a live Q&A session. You can call in, jump on the stream, ask a question, issue your challenge. We've got 100 people here tonight, folks. And if anyone here wants to come in and ask your questions, issue your challenge, tell me I'm stupid, it is your choice. That is what we're here for on Sunday nights. So let's continue on as we continue. Let's see here.
That reminds me, Father, you need to work on your winning.
My winning? Why? Well, you could
do it again. Do it again. No, with joy, Father, with joy.
Winning.
Yeah, there you go.
Winning. I think I win. I'll figure it out.
Too much.
I got time. We'll figure it out. Figure it out before I pass on. All right. Ascendancy says, definitely agree, especially given some current birth rates. Prajura Complexus says, where to take the word of scripture literally, may God bless you with sons and daughters. This means at least 2 daughters and at least 2 boys. I mean, I think that's a little it's a little out there. I don't think that 11,
depends what God has in store for you.
Yeah.
Because I was planning on having like 10 kids and I got 2. So.
Yeah. My suggestion is it's better not to have a really big discussion on the matter.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's what I would say. My whole point is, if everyone is trying to have kids and everyone has at least some kids, most likely Earth does not end. Now it ends when God says it ends. That's really the big thing. But the whole point is, I would say that we're seeing right now I would say what we're seeing is a secular demographic collapse, but we are also seeing a religious demographic growth. So when these two things are inverse, this means society will be radically different within 2 generations.
Well, there's a lot of environmental things that have entered into our water and stuff that kind of like make it harder to have a lot of children too. I mean, there's a lot of different factors that, I mean, just count your blessings if you live.
There's a lot of stuff that is damaged heavily that needs to be undamaged. Unfortunately, and that is something that we, I don't want to say like our generation caused it or previous, because it's really it's not a generational thing. It's been almost an institutional thing for going on 100 years. We've done massive damage to the environment, to society, so on and so forth, making it harder for that generation to survive.
Well, they're saying like the generation, like maybe not the immediate one behind us, but 2 behind us, Father. They're saying like they have already half our sperm count, and they're saying it's getting worse as generations go further. I'm just like, wow.
There's a good possibility that it's going to be a marker for the end.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Leonidas says, not convinced of the religious demographic growth. Okay, well, fair enough. I think that you might be right. I mean, I think there's some positive things that are showing, but maybe not. Father Methodius says, let God plan your family size while you fulfill your duty. That's enough for a couple. Indeed. Amen, Father.
Amen.
Quran says, this might be like the actual weirdest question, but who in the church is most Christ right now, today? I don't know. That's my honest answer. I simply don't know. I don't know any.
You're asking one sinner to tell another sinner.
Yeah, and
that's hard to.
Just to be honest, one thing to remember is that especially as we head towards the last days, those people who are that holy and visible are going to increasingly disappear from our sight. So that's something to keep in mind. Ascendancy says, Father, what is one figure in true Orthodoxy who you see as a saint that many in true Orthodoxy would not see as a saint? Not necessarily out of opposition, but just no push for, perhaps even oppose. I don't know. I'm not trying to like cop out with that. I know, for example, like I may not necessarily altogether agree with the idea of glorifying all 4 of the hierarchs of Rokor. But that said, once the idea was introduced, I mean, is there anything holding back any of them from being saints? I mean, none of them were immoral, and all of them were holy and pious, and all of them did their jobs.
Well, we got to be careful though, because as Orthodox, God reveals them to us.
Yeah.
Just by what we may think of them. So we might be personally opposed to someone because of something that they did in their past. Like I can think of
St. John of Shanghai in San Francisco. When he was glorified, Archbishop Anthony originally didn't want to show up. He was like, I don't recognize this. And then finally he was talked into it, and we realized he should probably do it, be part of it. So let me see here. Anthony the Mess says, wife and I were not going to have any before we met. I'm driving a 15-seater with 10 of those filled at this point. We'll lock Florida down. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Here's you first off. And so you see, never give up, people.
Let me know how the football team works.
Yeah, exactly. You've got enough to start your own soccer team. Well, football team, or Let's see. Cyprian of Antioch says Saint Philaret of New York. Yeah. Well, I mean, I have no doubt he was a saint.
World Orthodox have
I
trouble with it though.
some Orthodox, World Orthodox do have trouble with it. That the Compromise says, keep in mind, a lot of this fertility stuff is also fear mongering. Not wrong. Atomic Lead says Metropolitan Anthony's soteriology was extremely askew. Vladika Enoch has mentioned this a lot, and that's why a lot of people see Metropolitan Anthony as controversial. But again, he was a spiritual father to many saintly people, and I don't know that I don't think that it was that bad that he should be condemned as a heretic.
Wasn't he confronted with it in his life and repented of it?
I think he was, but I don't know the story, and I have to look that up.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Some would say Metropolitan Anthony of Italy made so many critical mistakes to be considered on to the same mantle as a saint. So I would say that's an interesting choice, Father. That's why I chose it, because there are people who did feel that they made critical mistakes. But the question is, does that mean they're not saints because they made mistakes? I don't know that I can say that. And
God reveals it.
God reveals this. He surprised us many times. So I don't know.
I mean, go ahead.
Atomic Lead says, why not Archbishop Verki? I'm convinced that he's a saint and will probably be glorified if he.
But he made a mistake too, right?
He made a few. Yeah.
The Coptics.
Yep. So, Cyprian says, I read that wrong. Oops. And Leonida says, I second Archbishop Verki. Ascendancy says, I meant not a saint, not made a saint in half or most true Orthodox synods like Archbishop Verki, Chrysostomus of Florida, Joseph the Hezekiah. I think that all of those are probably going to clear water soon enough. It wouldn't surprise me. Once they make it to one true Orthodox synod, it almost always filters out to the others. Like St. Philaret was glorified, 5 times? Yeah. So it happens. It's just part of the confusion of the age. Why is Dyer and Deacon Ananias so quick and I'm so afraid to attack genuine Orthodox? Oh, that's easy, because our existence proves that they're hypocrites.
Because they're weak in their own position.
Mm-hmm. And the things that they say about themselves are things that are actually true about the true Orthodox, and they hate the fact that that's true. So they literally despise us. Yeah,
like Father's saying, we're kind of a mirror to them. They look at the mirror and they think it's us, but they're really looking back at themselves.
Yep. Let's see here. Ascendancy says Metropolitan Anthony recanted his errors to the Holy Synod and corrected himself. Okay, very good. Yanakari says, which Metropolitan Anthony are we talking about? I left the room for a second. Metropolitan Anthony Krapovitsky, first hierarch of Rome Corps, blessed memory. Cyprian of Antioch says, yeah, my fault for not reading the question correctly. Okay, and yep, Ascendancy says Metropolitan Anthony Krapovitsky. Metropolitan Anthony K is obviously holy, says Father Methodius. Atomic Lee says, I don't mean to pretend that I can judge, just repeating what I've heard. Very true. And I think that it's a worthwhile discussion. Let's see. What have you heard? Wait, Father, have you heard of the weird worm things found in people's bodies after they got the shot? Apparently, the 2020 PSYOP people's dead bodies started showing up with weird things in them. I hate to break it to you, but worms appearing on dead bodies is not exactly a new thing. That said, I know what he's talking about. He's talking about this ribbon type material that seems to be forming out of tissue. That almost seems like wormish. That I've heard about that happening. Yeah, they've found, some morticians have found that, and some COVID patients. It is important to note that most of those cases where they found it, the person is actually dead.
And they're being embalmed.
Yeah. Christos Crece says, Father, can we please get a review of your bookshelf and those mini figures in the back? One day. All of these things are just secret Easter eggs that you can ask about later. But in any case, so there are a couple of minifigures in the back. But let's see. Leonidas points out lots of saints made mistakes. Very true. And they're human, They're human. Yeah. They're so afraid to debate the church history starting 1920s. Absolutely, they are. Because they know that they don't have the advantage on it. They know they're lying about it. They don't have the truth about it. Karan says it's connected to the shot in 2020. I heard an actual mortician talking about this in my class one time. It would not surprise me. Unfortunately, I suppose that's true. However, Metropolitan Anthony was engraver for some years in the Atonement of Metropolitan Vitaly, caused Hockna separation, then joined with HSR in 1994, and then later repented. It is worth noting with the Hocknacism that Father Pantaleimon admitted guilt, which is why the overwhelming majority of Hakna joined the GOC. So, to that end,
Kind of rocked the world.
Metropolitan Vitaly wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
I hate to bring that up, but
Yeah.
those warm things are long extended blood clots, says Gabriel Michael. Very true. I would say it's like a gray area of Metropolitan Vitaly, and Anthony is a saint. Why not canonize every bishop at this point? Because not every bishop was holy. But
God
one thing I will
revealed
say,
all the bishops to be holy.
one thing I will say about that is that the old Rocor, they had a certain dignity about them,
A nobility.
that came from their kind of noble status of being pre-revolutionary Russian Orthodox bishops, and have they learned how to live in that sort of status. Now, why I'm bringing that up is because of the fact that they had moral guidelines, even internally, that they held to, that modern people aren't even aware of. Not even, I would say, not even most modern Russians are even aware of. And so that sort of dignity was not a precursor to deeper spirituality, but it was definitely an enabler of that. And what I mean by that is, it's going to sound awful, but I would just say that those first hierarchs of Rocor were just better at living an Orthodox life than regular people.
They were very rigorous in their own personal piety. Yeah.
Leonidas says Metropolitan Vitaly didn't want to enter into communion with the SIR. Father Andrew Kensis talked about this. You're probably right on that, and you have a better memory than I do, Leonidas. Father Methodius says, who are these gentlemen of the St. Maximus Society? I saw the thumbnail after your show.
Oh, that's well, Father Methodius, you were part of Rocor MP before, right?
What society is he talking about?
St. Maximus Society. You know who Father Maximus Weimar is?
Yeah, he's Jonathan Hill's priest.
Yeah, that's his little baby there. He's one of the speakers on there.
Okay, I have. Where
they do it out of their monastery there in Florida.
Is this showing on my channel? I'm confused.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm confused. Maybe it might have been suggested for you by YouTube, Father. Let me see here. But thank you for telling me, because I didn't know that. Ascendance says, I'm not opposed to perhaps being saints or not calling them heretics. I'm just not seeing it. Yeah, and that's part of the process of trial and error that occurs with every glorification, unfortunately. The most deranged post I saw today on X, John Romanides, was correct when he said, from a scholarly point of view, Marxism and patristic theology share the same foundation. Yep, that's one of the many reasons Father John Romanides was not Orthodox.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Leonidas looked like he was about to say something, but then stopped, or maybe he's typing it. Quran says, but Father, I hope you know how bodies work. Dismissing that might be a huge problem. Stuff does not just exist in your body. Random stuff that frowns in your body is called cancer. It can kill you slowly. Oh, I'm fully aware. Trust me, I'm definitely fully aware about the concept of cancer, but it is an important thing. Well, the problem is that a lot of people, very few people are, it's a decreasing number of people who survived who had the shot, and there were ways to recover from it. I do know that, depending on which edition of the shot you had. So, I mean, I'm leaving that one up to God. I just can't, I'm not going to sit here and say everyone who took the shot is, doomed. I have to have faith that God can heal even people in the worst scenarios.
Yeah.
And I think that people encouraging the idea that God can't are misguiding the flock.
Well, they mock God because God can do anything.
Exactly. We believe in a God who can do anything. So let me see.
And he's merciful if you repent as well. So.
Yep. Leonidas says, I'm aware, but that's part of my point. He did it anyway and then later repented, seeing it as a grave mistake, and set up the once unified Roca towards a path to the MP. I don't think that's unfair. I think sentencing. I'm not like trying to be insulting here, but the point is, between Anthony of Geneva, after Mark of Berlin was compromised, you can't just put it all on Vitaly's hands. Like, he tried to do what he could to stop it and was violently resisting.
He was ousted.
Yeah, so it's not. I don't think it's fair to just put that all on Metropolitan Vitaly. Now, granted, the dream of Brother Jose Munoz seems to imply something similar. So you're not altogether wrong, but at least, I mean, give credit where credit is due. The Unionists were definitely much more responsible than Metropolitan Retaliate was. Leonida says, no synod in the 20th century had more saintly hierarchs than the Row Court. Yeah, you're probably true. You're probably right. That the compromise says St. Maximus Society is world orthodox. Yep.
Yeah.
And he says, mind you, I like Metropolitan Italia. I just can't see how he reaches the mantle of being a saint rather than a hierarch of blessed memory. And a lot of people who knew Metropolitan Italia feel the same way. That comes from, but this is part of the kind of the chaos that comes with such a process. I remember when Saint Philaret was made a saint in Roac. At first Vladimir Moss was absolutely against it because he remembered Metropolitan Saint Philaret when he was alive, and he just was like, "This is not acceptable. He's not a saint." But over time, he accepted it, and he realized that maybe that sometimes God sees the things that we couldn't see, and that may just be the case here.
Well, and there's a reason why you should wait to glorify someone for so many years.
Yep.
So.
That to Compromise says, I saw a Paisius quote saying the only thing wrong about the Soviets is their godlessness. That actually scared me. I saw that on X2. It's like basically like Elder Paisius is saying to the effect of, well, if communists weren't godless and didn't hate Christ, I'd actually agree with them on everything. We should have common ownership of things, and we should have I'm like, okay. I was going to write like Paisius is communist confirmed.
Well, he said great things about Bartholomew too, and see how that worked out.
Yep, exactly. 1D2Y says Roman Catholics tried showing me John Romanitis to prove that Orthodoxy isn't true, but it just made me come closer to the true church. Oh, well, that's right. Good job. That's just my view. I think that's why I said Father Joseph's view was interesting, because I think most TO synods would not consider him a saint, at least right now. I know Rokana feels a bit hazy on his canonization, and I think that that's just something that's going to take time. Right now, Father Seraphim Rose is being largely accepted by a number of true Orthodox all over the world. But 20 years ago, I don't think it would have been that successful. It just, time changes everything.
Yeah.
Sean Sidonia said there's some protocols that can help reduce the bad effects. The facts are the vast majority who got the jabs are okay currently, but I'm still against it. Yeah, well, and there's still questions about whether they're fully 100% okay. Leonida says, Father Joseph, can you see my comments? I saw you wrote no synod in the 20th century had more saintly hierarchs than Rocor. Those are the only comments I've seen past that, and this one. Let me see here. Ascendancy. So if you have other ones, please try to put them in the chat again. Ascendancy says, I'm not saying it was all on him, Father. Forgive me if I made that out to be that way. I understand. I can say that Metropolitan Valley was sort of the last vanguard in Rocor before its fall in 2001. Well, this is, again, the dream of Brother Jose Munoz was that each of the hierarchs of Rocor was carrying the cross, and Metropolitan Valley fell down holding it. So some can say that perhaps he was not fast enough didn't realize that he was being manipulated. That said, failure in administration is also not exactly a disqualifier from sainthood. So even if one would say that he did not do as well as he could as first hierarch, you can't say that he wasn't, he might have still been a holy person. Pragitura Complexus says, have you ever talked about the controversial points regarding Saint Seraphim Rose and his monastery? Yes, many times. I believe we covered that in the many questions and answers of what's wrong with true orthodoxy, which I'm pretty sure one of them was that question. Karan Wandara says, thank you, Father. Very helpful today. No problem. Pragitura Complexus says, where is that from Brother Jose Munoz? I want to read it. It was just a dream that was written about. Was well known at the time when he first said it. What was his vision? It was a dream, and the dream was that each of the first hierarchs of Rocor was carrying the cross, and as they were walking, it would be handed off from one to the other, and then when it got to Metropolitan Vitaly, he walked with it, and then he collapsed. And so, I presume he got up, but that's not part of the dream. The important part is, of course, that he fell. And then Brother Jose passed on in 97. He was martyred actually. And
Brutally.
people didn't know what to make of it. And then the Rokor schism, the first Rokor schism happened in 2001. So, yeah. Where is that? Yeah. And so I would look up Brother Jose Munoz. A lot of this stuff is going to be on the older internet. But I would ask around and you can find it. So hopefully that helps with that. And so let's see here. Father, have you considered producing something like mini videos for 20, 30-minute videos debunking some Roca slander, like on Higher Among Seraphim and on St. John and one on Roca's stances? What I will be doing is I'll probably take those, the big ugly streams that have all those questions, and I'm going to be dividing them up soon, God willing, into separate episodes. So that should solve that problem. And then if I'm missing any, people can just let me know, but hopefully that will help a lot. Let's take a look here. I think we've covered everything so far. So you got 5 minutes, guys, to get your last questions in or to jump on stream. But other than that, we did make it to, the full 3 hours. So glory to God there. Always a wonderful thing when we do. And so congratulations again to book winner number 4, who will be getting a note and a request for an address to send the copy and which version of the History of Resistance that they want. So we'll definitely be doing that tonight or tomorrow night. And so let's see here. Once again, cafe time, as I've mentioned. Unlike previously, you no longer need to ask for moderation. You can actually sign up at afrosanoscafe.com. And you should be able to get in just fine. Let me see here. Karan Randall says, Father Joseph, just because Adam ate the forbidden fruits, or we all deserve to die a horrible death? The problem is not an issue of what we deserve. The problem is that by our nature, we have original sin, and we need to repent and we need to free ourselves of it. Because the wages of sin is death. The death itself is what is horrible. If your main concern is simply that is motivated by simply a fear of death and the unknown, then I would make it my priority to get baptized. I would make it my priority to get received into the church. That's all I can really say is, unfortunately, that's the imperative. So use the information you have and get received into the church.
Well, the sting of death is taken away by being part of the church. Because then we participate in eternal life.
Amen. And then 5 minutes, 5 questions. Well, it's now 2 minutes, 2 questions. So Leonidas says, death was a gift, or else we would have become like the demons without the possibility of repenting. 100% true. Paul W. Hall says, if you all would pray for my buddy Carl in Kansas City, he's very sympathetic to true orthodoxy and feels drawn to the true church, but isn't close to any parishes he can regularly visit. Again, God willing, soon there will be more parishes. There are new missions opening up everywhere. So just keep praying for him and encourage him to say Typica, so that he can continue in strength and to get in touch with a true Orthodox priest. And Quran says, thanks guys, just making sure I understand. Have you ever heard the polemic that true Orthodox believe in faith alone? This stemming from Archbishop Irenaeus of Pskov during the 1700s science writings, where he says we believe in faith alone. If you really want to go crazy with it, look in the morning prayers in almost every prayer book. There is an Orthodox understanding to this, because we are supposed to put our faith in Christ, because we don't have any works that can sanctify us. We read that in our prayer books every morning, most of us anyway. And so it's something to keep in mind, that it's not by our works that we are accomplishing anything. It's through Christ. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. Just take a look at your average Jordanville prayer book and you'll see that prayer in there. But let's continue on. Let's see here. So we're now at 11:29. So let me just read the closing. Okay, hold on. And so I want to thank everyone. I want to thank our guest, of course, Reader John, for helping us here. Prayers for Father Boniface, who is traveling and will probably be back next week. Thank you to our listeners, to those who had questions and those who had comments, and to those who support our mission. Support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net. On Give, Send, Go, we remember all of you in our prayers. And thank you for the support for NFTU. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if this was helpful to you. And checking for any final comments. Interesting. So what would we share? Would we share something with the Lutherans on the subject of faith alone or sola fide? I bring that prayer up with every Protestant I talk to. And it always opens some eyes. So definitely it's worth discussing. Once again, thank you to everyone. Glorious feast. Christ is risen. May God bless you in the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit. And have a good night, everyone.